really attended any meetup for a long time, but I
There
really
is-
missed that. It was really fun.
It is.
Global meetups are on Thursdays. when we have the
Yeah, that is
podcast.
true. So exactly, and Robert is doing Wednesdays,
Wednesday.
but we had to divide it somehow. But
Well, what about this Aftonbladet piece then? The article about Quen. I didn't actually read that article. Did anyone do that? No.
no, I didn't read the article. I read the LinkedIn posts about the article. But as what I gathered from the article was that apparently Aftonbladet had been criticized and maybe correcting Arbetsförmedlingen, the employment service, because they had been using Quen on
Chinese model.
the Chinese Quen model, which is an open source model under the Apache something license, and they had used it, I think, on-prem or on their own co-located stuff. It wasn't as a service. It was completely
apparently air-gapped as well.
air-gapped and everything. And at some point, there was a moral panic over the fact that Quen was Chinese, so they sort of pulled the plug, and that created a lot of conversation on LinkedIn about do they even know what that means? Pulling the
What do you
plug.
think?
I think it's somebody said that if you should never what's the quote? You should never ascribe to ill will what you can ascribe to ignorance. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. So I don't really think that the Employment Service really had a specific sort of intent which way or the
But
other.
also-
They just realized at some point that this is Chinese, and Chinese is sort of Chinese and AI and
But
political.
were there any
potato and
facts, like anything about Tiananmen Square or something like that?
I don't think there was any specific reasons. And also, I think the critique, of course, or the support for not using the Chinese trained model is precisely that, right? Yes, but they have excluded politically sensitive stuff. And I'm sure they have, even if they then release it as an open source model with the weights and everything just freely for you to change. But I think people don't understand, yes, but the model can still serve a whole bunch of great purposes without being able to reference the Chinese political hot potato of the Tiananmen Square. So what's the problem?
You don't see any problem with using Chinese models?
No, I see a lot of problems, or not, but potential problems, and caution is advised, I think.
But is that particular to Chinese models or just any model that we
Any.
don't know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Any model. And I think what you need to scrutinize is specifically the open source license, like the details. How open is it, and what kind of transparency does it offer?
Yeah, and also what is it used for? I mean, there's a lot of uses for Quen3 coding. And when coding, I have a hard time seeing that the fact that it's censored would make a difference to me.
It
Could be, but I don't see it.
installs backdoors in your code if you don't review it.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah, and
far-fetched. If you
That
but
is
it, but
far-fetched,
if you don't review your PRs, you shouldn't ship the code.
Yes, and I mean, that could happen with any model, I guess.
yeah, and exactly. I think there's a tremendous prejudice against China in tech.
Yes.
There's a lot of anti-Chinese sentiment and the rest of it. And a lot of it's probably well motivated given the fact that it's a totalitarian state, and there's a whole bunch of problems with that. But I remember still when I was at Silo AI a couple of years ago, before they were acquired by AMD, they had done I think it was Silo who had done a project together with Huawei for the Norwegian salmon hunting bureau or whatever it's called, because in Norway there's a problem with invasive salmon of the wrong kind, so they want to sort of be able to select which salmon get to swim up the rivers and get kids, and so they were running these visual recognition models on the swim by fish, and they had these traps and blah blah blah, and then at some point the Norwegians decided to just pull the plug on that entire little project because Huawei was Chinese and there may be a leakage of data to China, blah, 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 blah. And I just thought, wow, it's really sort of a bit too much. I mean, yes.
Well, perhaps I'm a bit biased here, but I actually would not underestimate the creativity that some of the intelligence services is doing here. Have you heard about the recent thing where China is actually blocking NVIDIA chips to China?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you heard?
So Trump admitted them to sell to China, and now China tells us that we don't want them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see why?
Not to be too dependent on the US.
No.
No.
They were afraid that the US is incorporating, of course, some backdoors into China.
Let's check our Cisco routers.
Yeah. I don't think it's stupid.
No.
No, not at all. I don't think any of that paranoia is stupid, really, in tech. I think there's a tremendous
I
amount
think it's
of
more than paranoia as
stuff.
well. I think it's actually a serious concern that should be actually considered.
Well, like Kurt Cobain of Nirvana said, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not after you. You know, so it can be legit. But I get
Love that quote.
I get the feeling that in tech now, in geopolitics, we're sort of in this Mississippi blues kind of culture where people are either like writing songs about being the backdoor man and sneaking in and having sex with other men's wives, or they're writing about, you know, how afraid they are of people sneaking around their house when they're not away and when they're not there. And it, like the paranoia is rife in tech.
Yeah.
But I think it's because the stakes are so high. And I'm sure, Anders, given your acquaintance with some of these dimensions of culture and society and technology,
But I
can attest to that. I mean, it's the stakes are high.
Yeah, but also China is one of 3 named states that's the Swedish security police has actually named China, Iran, and Russia that we should beware of. And even when I was at Rice, we had this course on this is how you get like to be a tool for a foreign state. Look out for these signs. And we had a former police handler that handled snitches, whatever you call it in English. This is the way the long game that they're playing.
I was for sure shocked, to see some of the creativity that's happened throughout the decades. So I would be more biased to find non-Chinese alternatives if there are some. I can tell you that for sure.
Do you think it's possible for an LLM to install a backdoor?
Of course.
I mean, how would
In multiple ways.
I mean, it's just weights, right? So
No, it's not. Okay, so yes, there are safe tensors, etc., that one can use, but as I said, the creativity that some people has found in just having we shouldn't go in this topic. Let's stop here.
no, I think it is fascinating to think about if it's actually possible, but maybe not for now.
No.
Just don't pick up any USB sticks that you find exactly on your computer.
But that's an interesting
The charging cables.
Would you pick up a USB stick and just put it in your computer? No, of course not. No? So there is some paranoia in all of us, right?
Yeah.
Yes. No, but, and I think it's probably a good idea to have a bit of it.
Yes, I think so.
For sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, very welcome here. We have a panel now in the last AIF. Oh, I see Goran is preparing something dangerous here.
Nice.
Anyway, we have the last AI After Work podcast for the year. And I'm very glad to have a set of friends here. And I'm sure it will be a very interesting and deep and a lot of rabbit holes and a lot of, I hope also a lot of disagreements. And I'm sure it will be, which I really look forward to, but in a friendly way.
Is this a rage bait episode?
We're always friendly here, I think. Anyway, with that, let me just let's do a quick round of introductions here as well. And please, Fredrik, if you just could give a few words to who you are.
Yes, my name is Fredrik. I work as a tech lead at All Ears. Just do a pitch for All Ears now. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So All Ears, what we're doing is listening to the spoken web at scale. So we have a platform where we collect data from like audio from podcasts and TikTok and YouTubes and such, and we provide that to PR comms and marketing and also to finance and open source intelligence, given what we're talking about right now in different formats. So that's where I'm working right now.
But also one of the stars, I think, in Sweden when it comes to NLP and to AI in general, and been in RISE and been in so many other places. So a true AI expert, if I may say so myself.
Thank you. That's a nice way to say that I'm old. Yes.
I think we all are here. So it's fine.
Thank you.
Patrick, who are you?
Yeah, so I'm Patrick Couch. I'm currently with Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, working here in Sweden. I've been in AI for a long time. Was at IBM, and I read a hilarious post about how a lot of ex-IBMers are touting Watson credentials as a feather in the hat, whereas it didn't produce any value and you shouldn't do that, and the rest of it. Anyway, but I also help organize meetups in Stockholm for the AI community. So I'm sort of in the smack
And that's
middle of
called the
Stockholm MLOps community. But there are a lot of different communities in Stockholm popping up now. So I'm sort of part of that socializing culture. And I'm super happy to be here today. And this looks amazing. So I'm sure we will have tons of light-hearted disagreements.
No, but we've known each other for a very long time, so very glad to have you here.
Thank you.
I'm really looking forward to the discussions here. And then we have Jesper as well.
Yes.
Who are you?
Hello, I'm Jesper. I'm the CTO for Simply.ai, and we're trying to automate tasks for people using AI and a lot of just strict plumbing kind of things to give people time back. So automating simple things that you don't want to do anyway. That's what we're doing.
Awesome.
That's me.
And a bit about your background, perhaps. You've been in different companies, very famous ones as well.
Yeah, I've been to many different places. Started out in image recognition, medical imaging, MR, CT, and then I switched into data science. Worked at startups in Stockholm, ended up in Volvo Cars, and then I moved to startup again after being in the enterprise.
And very much into the agentic scene as well, which I think we all are in some way or form.
Yeah.
But I think you also are
It's
an
an
authority.
amazing space to be in right now with the MLOps and other community. It's really fascinating to see Stockholm bloom when it comes to AI.
Indeed.
It's never been more fun to build. Never.
Yes.
No, I agree. I mean, I'm like you said, if you're old, I'm old too. So to me, this is a resonance of the late 90s when the dot-com boom was booming, and I got my start. It's the same kind of, wow, amazing, look what you can do. It's just that today you can do so much more compared to what you could do then. Because then you had to do a lot of the heavy-duty plumbing and the cabling and figuring out how to get the PlayStations to work as a server farm for your compute and the rest of it. And now it's like, oh, it's so amazing. The times are amazing. Technology is amazing.
I feel tonight I think I'm in a mode where I will be very contrarian to everything said here.
Looking forward to it.
It's a minefield already. We're like 10 minutes in.
I think we can do surprisingly little with agents so far. I think it will change coming year, but I think today what we actually can do with agents is surprisingly little.
There's surprisingly few domains where agentic has
But let me be contrarian.
gone through.
Yes.
What you mean customer-facing stuff? What do you mean actually doing stuff? Because we have been increasingly at Allers starting to work with agents and cursor and whatnot, and it's amazing.
Yes. Okay. So for coding, it is I would say the area where agent works the best.
Yes,
So
definitely.
that's certainly the case. But for other parts, and even in coding some parts, but for other cases, I think it's surprisingly bad.
I think it's probably, or maybe I should say, just the fact that it's been so good at coding. So we tended to focus all our interests in
could be.
coding. I think that's it.
Yeah, it's an easy win.
But so let me ask you this then. Just taking a slight step back for you guys and for me, like, what is an agent? Because I think
Go into the rabbit hole.
I think it's interesting because
What's your preferred definition?
I guess I should have one, but I don't really.
Someone who acts on your behalf.
Yeah, I used to. I was a year and a half ago. I was in this trends seminar with AI Sweden, and I was asked, "Hey, give us your trends on agentic." And this was a year and a half ago, and I was thinking about autonomy and agency and all that stuff, and it sort of ended up with this idea of the agent should be somebody like the technology that can actually do downstreams decision making on its own based on the upstreams conditions it's been given somehow.
Cool. Fredrik, do you have a preferred definition?
I took an agent programming course in the 90s. for Magnus Boman.
Me as well.
And it was awesome, and we did some games and stuff, and it was belief, desires, and intentions, I believe.
Yes,
That's the
BDI
kind of,
agents. Yeah, I remember
the
them.
framework for that. But I guess now an agent would be something like your mom or dad just doing stuff for you, like picking up your clothes and making sure you don't,
But if I phrase it like this, I mean, some people call simply an LLM without any kind of scaffolding an agent. Do you consider a simple LLM without any scaffolding to still be an agent?
No.
So some kind of more stuff than an LLM is necessary, right?
Yes, I would say so. I'm kind of functional in my approach to things because we build stuff right for customers. So definitions. Let's talk about them later when they work.
Jesper, do you have a preferred?
Yes, and I think we started going there. Like the LLM on its own is not an agent, but if you give it tool calling, then I think we're almost there. Tool calling and a loop, then we're at an agent.
So that's interesting to me. So when I'm out talking about AI and sort of giving these sort of inspirational things, one thing that I often talk about is the failed agents that we try to give physical form. If you remember the humane AI pin,
Oh yeah, mm-hmm.
or the rabbit one or the R1,
Yes, mm-hmm.
right? So the idea with them were that they were supposed to they were like a smartphone takeout play, which is of course impossible to execute. I mean, the glasses aren't going to fix that either. But so, but what was interesting was that during that time, a year or two ago, when they talked about these things, they talked about the large action models,
Yes.
the LAMs.
Yeah,
I'm in
right.
marketing stuff, but I like that. I thought
Yeah,
that was an
I
interesting
did as well. That's
take
cool.
on it, because back to your point of execution, if we can execute, if we can call something outside of itself, because if you recall back then, like Clippy or the Office Assistant, it could only operate within this sort of instance of your own local copy of the Office suite, and it could do different things. But once you started opening it up and putting these API interactions at its disposal, the repercussions downstream can be so much greater. And that's what I thought was the kicker. Like if you wanted to do a unnecessary distinction between, say, generation and execution, generation is like generating an image or a piece of code or something that didn't exist before. It's just it generates something, it manifests something. It could be an image, a video, something. But an action, it's an execution of an action, a step that it takes. It presses a button, it pushes a light switch or something, and that's more similar to RPA.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, when you get the agents to behave as a complex RPA type, robotic process automation type of scheme, then it's becoming very interesting.
Yes.
And new.
But now we're talking about like functional stuff. But let's talk about behavior instead. What happens when something fails? And I think that's where it gets interesting. I mean, you can have a like a deterministic program or something that's very big, and it can cover 98% of everything, and then it fails and you just go belly up. A true agent, what would happen then? Would it like recognize its failure and then go back and try to fix it, or say, I can't do this, I'll call my master, whatever?
Yeah, I mean, the LLM would of course see the error and take action depending on the error. So it's always just a tool call, calling something outside of itself.
Delegating stuff,
Delegating stuff and seeing what comes back and then taking a new action based on that.
Yeah, but like, Andrew Ng said something, he got the question, he was really tired about this question, what is an agent? But he said, I think, a rather good thing, that it's all a matter of degree of autonomy in some sense. So if it's something with zero autonomy, meaning it has to do exactly what it's told to do and can't really make a decision, then it's very little amount of agents or agency. That's basically what agency means, if you really take it to heart. Yeah. So then the question is really, can you find some kind of lower bound? And I really love these kind of short, simple definitions. And I think at least being able to take one single decision on what action to take. If you at least can take that. Yeah. And let me give an example. We built this kind of AI after work planner agent. And I would not really, I don't feel comfortable calling it an agent because I told it exactly what to do. You give it a LinkedIn profile, it goes out, it scrapes and looks for stuff, then it goes to some other page, and I programmed, hard-coded every action it should take.
That's a workflow, I would say.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't consider that to be a proper agent.
No.
Right?
Agree.
I agree also. And I think that's great, right? You want some level of autonomy, an agency, an execution capability to have it.
The difference would be if you had told the AI after work agent to use these tools, like this is the LinkedIn API or whatever, and this is, I don't know, some other tools, and then you give it a task, so plan the next meeting. Yeah. Then they would be an agent.
Yeah, it's like language. I mean, I as a speaker, I want to be underspecified and say as little as possible because I'm lazy, and you want to hear as much as possible because you want to be, this should be unambiguous. Yeah. And the same thing goes for an agent. I mean, if you can tell it to fix this stuff, and it will maybe ask you stuff and then just do it.
So Yeah, it's weird. We were actually agreeing on something here. I didn't, okay, please disagree now.
In an attempt not to agree, then, is a decision tree an agent?
No,
Because,
it can take actions, right?
well, I mean, I guess you don't decide in terms of how to.
And that's
how
like saying making a prediction of what the next token is an action. I think there is a lower bound to what.
So the lower bound is interesting, right? Because you
Yeah.
said if you can take some kind of autonomous action above a certain something, a pay grade, then it's an agent. If it's not, it's basically like a mathematical rules. Even if it's an unsupervised decision tree regression kind of thing.
But it needs to be outside itself, right?
Okay, so that's
Right.
great. So add that then. So then we have an agent being something that needs to touch another system. So it's a combination of systems
Yes.
of systems. If it's a solipsistic kind of thing of
An
its own,
algorithm by itself.
exactly, it doesn't count. No,
Yeah.
okay. So we're agreeing again.
But now you're mixing problem statement and solutions, right? So I'm just interested in telling someone to do stuff for me, and it will know me and understand and just do it. That's the functional outcome from it. And now you're talking about how to do it.
But so I agree that I don't really think the definitions are that interesting. I remember I asked Gemini or somebody, like, what is this? Blah, 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 and he gave me the answer. And then I showed it to my audience, like, what is this a definition of, like the Jeopardy thing? And it said, like, oh, it's something that can decide something, blah, 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 on its own, blah, 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 something. But what it was not an agent. It was a macro Excel. So you can have it define it functionally sort of similarly. And it doesn't really matter if it's a macro, if it's a this or that, if it can do stuff for you.
Yeah.
Boom, let's go do some of that.
I mean, it all depends on the task. If the task is simple at the outset, then a decision tree or a workflow performs the task equivalently good as an agent. But if it's something where the problem space is much more open, then you can have an agent generalized to basically anything. So that is of course the strength of an agent.
Yeah, and I think that is really where the really interesting stuff up ahead, I think, is located. I remember when when OpenAI, when they dropped their GPT store thing.
Oh, the instant checkout.
Yes, and around that time they also released that first API assistant call or whatever. It was
The first one.
the very first one, like 2 years ago or something. And the idea was, of course, to start piecing together these multi-systems of systems type of frameworks, similar to what Microsoft was doing under the name I forget now. But anyway, that is interesting to me. Like, if you digitize the world, you create the digital landscape, then you start opening it up through APIs and different shared protocols. All of a sudden, you are creating the foundation for something very interesting to emerge if you pursue it that way. Because then on that digital landscape, you can move around in a much more frictionless way than you do in matter world.
It's like a game of life, if you heard about this kind of mathematical concept.
Yes.
It's surprising how intelligent behavior something can arise from very, very simplistic rules sometimes. It's cool.
So just one question is like physical agents. What if you get into your car of choice and say, drive me to the French Riviera, and it does, and you wake up there? Would that be an agent or something else?
Certainly for me.
For me, it would be an agent,
It
yes.
would be a vacation, yes.
It would be a dream come true too.
But
It's only one tool, but that's enough, I think.
I potentially would disagree that we can define an agent by the outcome. I think we need actually to look internally.
Sure. But I mean, we lose ourselves in the internals when we should really look at the functions. Now I'm really biased by working at the production company, but
Anyway, the idea of this podcast is really to actually do a bit of a year in review for 2025, and perhaps also some outlook for 26. We'll see. Depends. But I'd like to do something else. No. But if we just continue a bit, and then we move more into the highlights of 25. But we just heard GPT 5.2 was released, and of course, all they spoke about was the agentic abilities and its abilities to do coding and actually do instruction following much better than anything else. And surprisingly, for once, it actually did beat some kind of benchmarks as well, which previous 5.1 and 5.0 did not. What's your thinking here? So perhaps if we take a bit of a more broad look at OpenAI and GPT actually for once breaking some state-of-the-art records in GPT 5.2. What do you think about the 5.2 release?
Yeah, well, that deadlines work. You have a code red, and you have to improve stuff, and you do it on benchmarks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But the code red was, what was it, 2 weeks ago or 3
I
weeks
think
ago?
so, yeah.
But I mean, they have worked with 5.2 for
probably,
longer.
yes.
than
You have
that,
to ship
right?
it faster.
Yeah.
But let's take a contrarian view then, since that's the theme. Is it really that good? I mean, it feels like the story of 2025 is a little bit like Google won.
Mm.
Yes,
Like,
agreed.
I mean, they were fighting very hard to beat Gemini 3. And did they? I don't think so.
No.
I think in my book, it's like for general intelligence, I think Gemini is king of the hill.
Yes.
I think for coding, it's Opus and Anthropic. That can be debated. But,
Yeah, it can be.
I think,
Swebench Pro with Vistus.
yeah. I mean, from my personal experience, that is the best one. But OpenAI is in this awkward middle space. It's like, what is their speciality really?
Mm.
So I find myself doubting more OpenAI after 5.2 than I did before, because they had this code red, and this was supposed to be their comeback. But was it a comeback? I mean, it's like, yeah, it's good, but it's.
But are we like typical users? I guess OpenAI is targeting like users that are chatting.
Yes.
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 And we're not chatting, at least not me as much. So I do coding mostly, and I switch between Opus and GPT 5.2,
Yeah.
and I found it to be inferior
Yes.
because I didn't like the output form.
No.
I mean, for me, I've been nagging on OpenAI for all of 2025, and I think, as you said, Google has really taken the lead here most of the year, and this was actually one of the first time it actually surpassed Google in some benchmarks, not in LM Arena. 5.2 is surprisingly low there. It's kind of interesting, but at least I was starting to count out OpenAI completely, and now at least it cashed up and was slightly ahead in some benchmarks. So for me, it was actually surprising.
And it's beneficial for us because it contributes to the dynamics in the field, right? So we reap the benefits of lower pricing, much lower pricing, and actually more models.
For sure.
So what would you say is the actual decisive success factor when it comes to succeeding with these releases? Like, is it the right people? And yeah, they have that dude, and that dude is amazing. Or is it they have the more infrastructure, compute power, so screw you guys? Or what is it? What is the secret sauce that makes, or not the secret sauce maybe, but what is it that makes certain initiatives succeed whereas others don't? Because it seems today, I mean, the attention is all you need type of papers have been around for a decade almost now. So everybody knows everything about a lot of stuff that goes into creating success in this space, but some succeed more than others. And for some reason, I agree with you on this. OpenAI hasn't been hitting it out the park.
No.
And it's not just because Sam has been talking crazy about, the expectations. So people are always let down because it doesn't provide on that promise that he gives. But even so, it's
so
just
my contrarian point is that I think that they have delivered very good up until this year. I mean, last year at this time, I was really shocked when they released 03. That was something really big. And 01 was also like, that was the first reasoning model, and that started something new. So they invented a new-ish paradigm. I mean, it's.
But then the big people left. Basically, at that time, the big people, including Ilya and others, and Mira Murati and so many more, they actually left OpenAI. Yeah. And I think actually that does matter a lot.
I think so. I mean, keeping the good people and having them have a safe space to innovate. I think that's probably key.
So that is super interesting to me, because what that says is, if you think of the sheer economics of this thing that is happening in terms of AI reshaping everything, and then we're saying, and they lost, and we name one dude with no hair, we name one woman, and then we sort of say, maybe the team. It's like, what is it, 10 people?
Yeah.
20 people? And all of a sudden, I mean, not only do 5 people own everything, you had then 10, 15 people that are like, yeah, if they're not on board, we're going to lose the air race. I mean,
But I think that's why Meta is paying $100 million signing
Crazy.
bonuses, right? Because it is sufficient sometimes with really, really high-stake people if you want to be a truly frontier lab, right? I don't think most companies should even try to be that, but if you want to,
But
you
Meta's
really
case
need to
in point against, it seems like they are
not yet,
they are
but
not.
it takes a year.
I mean that's a point. I mean, for the people leaving, I mean that's one thing is the actual handiwork that they do, but there also psychological value of we are losing some top brass here. And the other thing is when they are leaving the company and starting something new, it will take a couple of years for them to sort of start to produce.
Yeah. So my thinking in this is, if this is indeed so, if we agree that, it's because the 10 best people are just, 80% of the secret sauce. So if you don't have them on board, you're screwed. What is the takeaway from that?
But I don't. Yeah, that's not my interpretation.
No,
of it.
but
I think it's more that is important. But having a safe space for a team to innovate, I think that's probably the most important thing.
Okay,
I mean that's based on my own experience.
Yeah,
working
and
with
I guess I would tend to agree. But just sort of the point that I wanted to try to make is the lesson from that is, okay, you only need to train 10, 15 people, make them really good, and you're going to be on par with those guys, which means
But
then that
only have to. How do you even train people to be top AI people?
No, but I'm thinking, so we have almost 10 billion people on the planet. Half of them are online, and you do the funneling thing, and I'm sure you can eventually find 20 cool
You have to
people
puzzle together
in
the
Europe that you
pieces
can give some
of a
money and just go do what they do. If this is the case, I'm not saying it is the case. I'm just
they
saying,
get acquired, very quickly by the top tech giants. They are really good at this,
let's
right?
be a bit contrarian now.
Yes, please.
Because I guess yes, you can do that if you have it like a let's say unit economics for it, but you need the team is not just the people. You need all the things that have to work, and I mean in the special space and the right time and everything. And how do you produce that environment? I mean, for sure now in Stockholm it feels like there's something buzzing. Maybe it's like a Pygmalion effect. We say it is and therefore it is.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, it gives a positive effect. And if people are leaving, it's the same thing. So just grabbing the brightest kids out of the school and then send them to Mars for training for 4 years and come back and do AGI, it's not going to work.
no, and maybe not. I just find it interesting that on the one hand, the numbers are so few. We always revert back to the same few people, and then the financial implications or the impact on the global scale is massive.
It's like movie stars.
And then exactly.
It is.
That's a great analogy actually. Like in the 80s when you had the action heroes, you had Stallone, you had Arnold. They carried the movies, they carried the box office. That was it. You had them on board. You knew it. You knew you were going to be. You didn't even have a good script.
I mean, we shouldn't underestimate the impact of AI stars, like movie stars, right? I think it's actually, there is a few set of people that actually can make these really, really innovative changes. And it's very, very rare.
And what they are good at, most of them or many of them, is actually educating the rest of us in terms of, holding the flag high and talking about what's possible and what's not possible. And now this is a secret, and I raised a lot of money and make this like the AI person's dream.
Yeah.
Now we're agreeing again. Let's do something else.
Let's try to disagree.
Yeah.
Okay, but interesting. And I thought, GPT 5.2, it was an interesting one, but just thinking in general about 25 now, of course, we can see some kind of OpenAI trend. I was, seeing a downward. Perhaps we have a slight upward, but I think in 26 we will continue to see a decrease for OpenAI in general. Will you agree?
100%. I think it's exceedingly difficult to wrangle power out of the hands of companies like Apple, Google. I mean, in tech time, they've been around for a while. They're savvy, they're vicious, they're experienced, they have every connection possible.
They have a lot of debt, a lot of legacy, they need to move.
They've been around the block.
Yeah.
And an upstart like OpenAI, they can do certain things. But eventually, I think it's a very slow-moving field. I think the reason for the fact that we only have like 4 or 5 or 6 giant tech companies ruling everything, and everybody understands that's not what we would like. Like in terms of a democracy or a non-oligarchy kind of
It's
approach.
a concentration of power. That's scary.
And everybody's like, that's uncool, but it's very difficult to change.
Yeah.
So therefore, I think, yes, I think there will be dents in that, of course, and every now and then there will be like some kind of establishment of a new power to some extent. But really, if you look at the past 20, 30 years, there has been this consolidation around certain gravitational financial centers and technology, and they are super difficult to bud.
But if you think of OpenAI as a catalyst, I mean, innovators' dilemma and all that. I mean, what was Google a year ago? It was like in crisis. We can't do this. And then, I mean, they had someone to play catch up with.
Yeah.
And now it seemed like they're beating them.
But they did.
Yeah.
And, sometimes they were perhaps a bit too careful about releasing things. Now they were forced to release
bards and stuff. Yeah.
But so that is super interesting to me. That angle, like they were careful to release dangerous stuff or stuff they didn't control or understand or something, and then somebody else did, and there was a tremendous, hoopla. And then these reports out of McKinsey and MIT come and say, hey, 80% of return on investment, 0. No, 95% of all Gen AI stuff crashes. And I'm thinking, Google and the rest of them, they're pretty savvy. Like they understand, there will be some teething, some challenges. There will be some problems. There will be some short-term gains. There will be some fluctuation in the market. There will be like a DeepSeek moment for NVIDIA, and the stock will crash, and then they will resurge buying 5% of Intel. And Google are just like, we're just going to sit this turbulent times out. We've been here. Remember the 90s when we came along, blah, blah, blah. And they are just super cool about this. And eventually you start hearing about, Apple played it right. They didn't get into that benchmark war and blah, blah, blah. And you're seeing the arc, the narrative in media change.
But they have another or different revenue streams that OpenAI don't have. I mean, that's what they're
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
I think my take on Google's comeback is they've always been focusing on many different things. If you take the comparison to OpenAI, they've always been into more or less only language models. They've done some attempts at multimodal, and they have Sora and all of those things.
They tried robotics, in the beginning.
They tried robotics, but that's
but now
long gone. But Google has done a lot of different things, and I think that's what we're seeing now, that this is starting to pay off, because what is Gemini good at? It's the multimodal things. It's super good at understanding images. It's super good at producing images. And that's probably because they also have a lot of experience in working with these open world kind of thing. So SEMA 2 and Genie 3, I'm not sure if they are doing it already. I've seen indications that they are. We talked about this just before. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Gemini is controlling the worlds, the open worlds that the other world-generating models can do, and then there's a feedback loop between these two systems. So that's my take on why Google is leaping forward now. And my take on OpenAI is I'm still sort of holding my breath for their comeback. There could be something in the cards. What I'm excited about is Sam Altman was very clear a couple of months ago when he described the roadmap. He was surprisingly clear that the goal is to build an AI research intern released in September 2026. So already then we will see what will they bring to the table. And I think they will be, as a follow-up to GPT 5.2, there will be something in January. So that will be super interesting to watch.
You think GPT 6 or?
I think GPT 6 will not be in January, but it will be next year. That's what I think. And I think it will be sooner than we think, because that's what they want to do. They want to be quicker with releases. And the goal, the only long-term goal they had, and that was also up on a monthly prediction level, I think it was March 2028. Then they were supposed to build an AI researcher. And that's of course a powerful vision. That's like the recursion thing.
But if we were to guess, what do you think GPT 6 or Gemini 4 or Grok 5 or whatever, what will it contain? Do you have any, if you were to guess, what do you think the new inventions in the next major AI frontier models will be?
We're talking near term 2026-ish release.
Yes. In coming 6 months or something.
Inference speed. speed.
Inference speed.
Yeah.
Interesting. So what's your thinking here?
I think that if you're looking at, for instance, Cursor, they have their own Composer 1 model. It's really quick compared to everything else. And what I do when I code is wait many times. And for everything else, if you look at, you have this special inference chips like Rock and so on, Cerebrus. I think that's going to matter more when you roll things out in real life.
Interesting. Yes, okay. So I will immediately agree with you. So because what I'm thinking, it's just what you say about waiting. That is interesting to me because, and also what you said earlier about even if there's no, what was the term, like general progress, if it flattens out, we have work to do to just benefit and reap all the benefits of the current possibilities in terms of what the technology can do for us, and we haven't done it yet at scale in any way, shape, or form. So we don't really need, now we can da. But if you can cut the wait time.
Yeah, it's like battery capacity on
battery capacity, exactly. Always on. So, which makes me think of, there are some interesting Swedish startups like Embeddle with Devdat Dubashi, whom I think you know, and Inceptron with Lucas Ferreira and Nima Karima out of Lund. I think they're both of these companies are sort of Swedish university spin-off type companies, but they do like kernel optimization stuff. So they do like, okay, so you have this model, you want to run inferencing using that model, but that model does a bunch of different stuff that you don't really care for. So let's just get rid of all that stuff, and maybe we sort of decrease accuracy slightly. Yeah, there you have it, right? Yeah. So Inceptron, amazing stuff. And I think this is deep tech, deep core. And I think there's a lot of efficiency here. This is not like, but first it could only generate images. Now it can reason. Amazing qualitative gain. No. This is about hitting a real pain. The fact that people that are running inferencing, coding, for instance.
Yeah, I think the capabilities are like leapfrogging.
Yeah. So inference speed could be one thing.
I think so.
Any other, Jesper, do you have any thoughts?
Yes, I think in my world, in my book, if we focus on inference speed, I would be dissatisfied. That would be the bad.
Not enough for you?
That's to me a sign that AI is slowing down.
Yeah,
if we focus on that,
commoditized.
Yes, then it means that okay, so now we've gone the distance. This is all we can do, and we focus on getting this better, like everyday use. What I hope for is number one, for an LLM to say I don't know. That would be awesome if the LLM could say I can't answer this. And I don't know if we will see that in 2026. But the next thing, and I think what everybody's hinting towards that they want to solve is continual learning.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, when we're sitting in our AI coding tool and we turn off the session and then we start again, then basically all memory is lost. There are, of course, techniques to get around that. And I think, for example, things like skills in Claude Code, where you can, you leave some sort of diary behind, sort of, this is how we can solve this kind of things.
So when you talk about continuous learning, you're thinking about persistent memory and...
So it's a mix of things. Good question. This is more the pragmatic approach to it. Like we have something that's working today, and we use what we have, and we use scaffolding around it to make some sort of continuous improvements. Of course, the real thing would be to update weights in sort of maybe real time, maybe it's something specific to you, maybe it's something for all the models that will always improve. That would be a major step forward. I don't see that in 2026, but could be.
I'm impressed we'll have these kind of hierarchies where you have a general model that's not updated that often, but then for some company, it can have a more company-specific model that's updated a bit more often. And then for people, they have even more updated often, and perhaps even for specific tasks they can have.
I mean, in a way, you could argue that this is the direction we're moving, because we have much more frequent releases now. I mean, just look at GPT-5, GPT 5.1, 5.2, it's been very short intervals between them. So in a way, that's the sort of a pragmatic approach to do this. But that's not what we really want, right? We want something that knows what I'm doing and adjusts for my needs.
And I agree with you on the less sycophantic
But that's their greatest contribution. No, but I was thinking about something else in terms of where we're going and what will be the things. Remember, did you see that Ilya interview when he rather eloquently? I thought, I don't really tend to like the guy, but I thought he did it really eloquently when he framed it in terms of the age of research, the age of scaling, and now we're going back to the age of research.
Was that the Dwarkish?
Yeah.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
And he was basically making the case for a long time there was a research-focused effort, and then that gave way to the scaling effort once we hit, GPT-2 and the ChatGPT thing, and we'll figure out, more parameters better. And so we just went scaling crazy, and now we're seeing the S-curve hitting us, and we're going back to age research. Now, I like that narrative. I think that's an appealing narrative, because what it holds out is a non-linear surprise kind of future, because that's what research does.
Yeah.
Scaling is just more the same, but more, better, faster, scooter, that stuff. So to the extent that we will see a more sort of concerted effort to do proper research, if we give these 5-10 people that know what they're doing some time to do stuff, maybe then we will see something really interesting that will surprise us.
Okay. My take on that is talking out of his own interest.
You say?
Yeah, I think so, because he's a one-man army basically,
yes, he is.
And he wants to improve in some other way that the other companies
But
can't.
speaking about continual learning, I think something that Sam Altman has said, and we also see Meta working in this direction, is the memory functionality. If you remember, I think it was called Titans, the new model paper from Meta, where they have this additional model, which is not a traditional memory. It's actually a neural network that is besides the normal kind of big model, but it's actually being updated in test time. I'm sorry, I hate the word test time, but in inference time.
Yeah.
So it's not actually during train time, but it actually is updating the parameters of the memory by this kind of surprise loss function, they call it, which I hate as well. It's just a normal loss function, but they call it something fancy. But anyway, this kind of additional memory functions, which something that complements the long-term parameters that you have in the big model, I think will be a big thing in 26. Would you agree?
No idea, but again, we're talking solutions.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, but what's the problem?
The problem, of course, is that we don't have memory, right? And we don't have continual learning, right? And we have to start from scratch for every session.
Right? I think the argument against is that the Titans paper was it last year?
No, it's just a couple of weeks ago.
Titans has been around for a while. I think there was a follow-up paper about Titans, but I haven't seen it. I haven't seen any implementation.
You're living at warp speed.
Yeah,
but so
we can check it. But I think I've heard it.
Maybe.
But I agree. I agree about I'm kind of provoking with the solution thing, because we as researchers and technicians tend to venture into solution space, and what's the problem really is to provoke you to what do we want to achieve here?
Yeah.
Really, there's a trajectory of incremental improvements of stuff, because we see stuff in architectures that are current, they're not working. But what if we're on the wrong path entirely? So yeah.
And what's the potential right path then?
I don't know. I'm too deep in this. I don't know.
But so can we just take one step back and briefly touch upon why is memory difficult? Why don't we have it already?
Yeah,
I don't have a good. It's a sincere question from my part, because I don't understand this at all in terms of technology. But why haven't we persisted memory across? Because it seems like such a. Of course, you want that. Like you don't need the dancing Christmas tree or the rest of it, but you do need a couple of stuff, and the memory would be great.
Yeah, I guess the simple answer is it's hard to have your own model and update the parameters for just you,
because
what you would want is to have.
It's compute challenging, or it's memory.
It would mean we have these super big models. They're, I don't know, let's say trillion parameters. And if you need someone for you, then you need one copy, and then Fredrik needs another copy. Of course, you could do tricks, and maybe that's what you could do to.
But
to
in
get
the
around
age
that.
of scaling, then when Jensen is just tossing hardware around, can't he just start tossing
Yeah,
memory?
everybody is complaining that they don't have enough compute. That's
But it is a really good question. And there were these kind of old models. I thought it was called something like a differential neural computer or something 10 years back, or 2017, 18 or something. It actually had a memory. It had this kind of soft memory where you can do read and write operations to that memory and then combine it with the normal parameters. Super cool thing. But it never took off then. It really died out. And I think...
He was right. December 2024, the first one.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool.
Enter.
And it's really died out, and it's kind of interesting. And I think, unfortunately, it is the problem of scale. I mean, if you want to do this kind of memory augmented networks, which been around for a long time, I must say. I mean, even a recurrent neural network from like 80s was actually a memory in it. But it doesn't really scale. And the big point with self-attention was that it's super, super fast.
Yes.
So, but when you say scale, do you mean for a population or for a single user? Could we make one of these things for a single user and show that it works?
Scale, I mean, like training super big models on lots of data.
Yeah.
Then it would be super, super slow to train it.
Yeah.
On that amount of data, which is the big power of LLMs, right? And that's what I think really removed the power. So I think, if we simply can improve the computational power that we do have, I think we can start to see this kind of memory coming back. And I think Titans could be a step in that direction, but I don't know. We'll see.
And we won't have RAG anymore.
No, actually.
No, so exactly. So back to then, what's the point, or what's the gain of succeeding with this?
Yeah.
So there are many, and I find it interesting because, again, with the scaling thing, there seems to be some tendency to look at what we've achieved and to feel, just max this out.
Put it to 11.
Like push it through, to put it to 11. Like, just crank that baby, right? And see what happens. And we've been doing it with the parameters, and that has driven, the GPU compute need. But if the memory is then a slightly different ball game or kettle of fish in terms of the hardware that you need to do, it's still similar in the sense that, okay, so create more items and call them the memory items or whatever, like, and then return to this. Oh, but we're burning the planet, we're consuming all the water and all the rest of it, and then we can bring in Robert Luciani to tell us that we only need to eat vegan to have it work anyway, so that's fine. But so I find it interesting because the fun thing when people meet technology is when people start trolling technology, because it's human. It's like this. Oh, but humans are still better because the technology is not. And one thing an angle of approach to attack is always memory. And if you recall early days, that robot with the human face, Sophia.
Oh yeah.
She was doing the rounds, and the funny thing to do was just, what did I just tell you? Tell me what I just said, or remember what I said to you. And she was like, what? And I was like, the computer's stupid. I mean, it's sad, but anyway, it shows how critical that persistency of what you were doing, the recall, the memory is to the perception of the value and the stuff that we can do.
I have a question for Anders then, because you know your stuff about the research. Do you think we will see like an attention is all you need kind of paper for memory soon?
Yeah. I still believe in Jan LeCun. I still believe in the JEP architecture. And I think, the world models that he had in that paper like 3-4 years ago now is what's starting to come about right now. Yeah. And that allows us to do this kind of off-policy kind of training that we're seeing right now. And it also had memory. It had like multiple, like short-term memory, middle term, and then long-term was the parameters we see now. So yeah, I think we'll see it.
So what's the next problem after memory? Because there will always be a next big problem.
Yeah. So, okay. I'm trying to figure out a short way to say this, but I think, people are thinking that we have good reasoning in today's models. I think that's wrong. I think we have surprisingly shallow reasoning today. I think we will see significant improvements in terms of reasoning capabilities that we're seeing. And we know we can see it because we can see it in AlphaGo and AlphaZero and these kind of models. They have amazing reasoning, but horrible memory. What we're seeing today is is models that is extremely good in memory, in knowledge management. And it's really hard to tell, is it actually reasoning its way to the answer? Or is it just, fetching different pieces of memory together and pulling an answer together? And I would say it is really using the amazing capability of the memory today, since it can take like 10 books in a single prompt and just, have perfect recall in any part of the book. That's no one human can do. So, and that's good. I mean, it's nice that AI can do something that humans are horrible at, but they are surprisingly bad in reasoning, and that's what we'll see. I think also the action-taking thing will actually come in 26. Everyone is talking now in GPT 5.2, they're speaking about computer use, proper one, without having hard-coded API or MCP service in place. They can still take action in a way that human can, which they can today. And I think that will be a major change.
So contradictory point. Yes, then. What do you think about ARC-AGI 2 and the advances we made? That was specifically designed. I mean, even ARC-AGI 1 was designed to be like a measure of general intelligence and reasoning. Yes. And now we're getting to a point where, I don't know, what's the score, like 40-50% or something like that on ARC-AGI 2?
Actually is very high. It's 50 plus.
Yeah.
But still, I think, ARC-AGI 3 is even more interesting. Have you seen the interactive one?
Right? No, I haven't seen it. Is it released yet?
Yeah, I think they mentioned it. So it's more...
I know that they talked about it, but I'm not sure if it's released.
At least I've heard about it. I think it's released. No, but it will be more interactive. So then it's not simply you see these kind of puzzles and decide what it is. It's actually you have to take a set of actions.
I think François Chollet has some. He indicated already when he released ARC-AGI 2 that the next one is going to be even better.
Yeah. So I think 2 is a lot about reasoning skills. So that's cool. But action is something else, and I think that's what the version 3 will actually have.
So my contradictory point is, I mean, when you're doing AI encoding, I feel like it's reasoning. I agree that the way it's reasoning is artificial. It's not how we reason. But then again, do we reason in a good way? I'm not sure.
But let me comment on that, because if we take playing chess and we take Magnus Carlsen, the best human chess player in the world, he has amazing memory. He also has amazing reasoning, and he can actually think much further ahead, X number of steps that very few other humans can do. But you can't really tell from a human, if you just watch the moves that they're doing, is he actually reasoning a number of steps back and forth, or is it just memorizing similar positions from the past? It's super hard to tell. So I would actually argue that humans are actually very good at reasoning. And AI is really, really bad in reasoning.
Why do you mean?
Because humans are horrible in memory, and the only way, unless you are Magnus Carlsen, is that you have to think through steps, and you can't really access knowledge in any way or form similar to what AI can do. So AI is really good in knowledge management and really bad in reasoning, but humans are still beating AI because they can do reasoning.
But computers have been beating humans at chess for a long time.
Yes, so that's a pure reasoning task that doesn't require memory skills.
Yeah.
So that's a point. So if we can move that, which is exactly what Demis Hassabis says, this is what they're doing in DeepMind. They're trying to take the reasoning capabilities that we had in AlphaZero and AlphaGo and put it into the big LLMs that we're having. That's literally what they're trying to do, and they've failed so far. But if they can put that kind of a really advanced reasoning into and combine with the knowledge management skill, that will be amazing. And we haven't seen it yet, but I think it will come in next year.
My take is that the paradigm we have right now with reasoning is that in a way. It's not a change of thought, and it's not super good, but it's getting the job done. I think that's also one of my takeaways from 2025, that reinforcement learning works for LLMs.
But it's not anywhere near AlphaGo, I would say, or AlphaZero's kind of capability in terms of reasoning. And they have to still go the full, going from tokens to token for everyone instead of doing the data space one.
There I agree. Right? We're not at that level, but we made great advances in 2025. If you compare to where we were a year ago,
absolutely,
it's totally different world.
But I would argue that coming year, and I think in 26 we will see significant improvements in reasoning. and in action taking abilities. And we are surprisingly bad. AI is surprisingly bad today.
Yeah. I don't think it's bad. I disagree there, but let's just stop there. But just one thing. We talked about the meter benchmark before on this podcast. Like long running tasks. Like how long can an agent autonomously keep a task running? And that's I think.
But wasn't meter really for tasks that takes X number of hours for humans? What can AI actually do? Wasn't that the meter benchmark?
Yes, that's the meter benchmark.
So it's not really being able to run for a long time, because that could just put it in a loop, right?
So yes, and that's exactly the point. So it measures how complex tasks or how long running tasks it can successfully
complex tasks.
Yes, and that's the beauty of the benchmark, that it's measured in human time.
Yeah, I love it.
So for me, when it takes this many hours to code something, can the LLM do that for me, and for how long can it do that? And that's always been a super interesting benchmark to follow. And so GPT-2 famously was at 2 hours 17 minutes, and just recently Meter or Epoch AI, which is doing the collaborating, I think, with Meter. Sorry, I mixed them up. So Epoch AI produced something that predicted meter scores for the new released models. And there Gemini 3 came out at more than 4 hours, close to 5 hours. That's a prediction, so there's huge uncertainty in that. And that's released only like 3 months after GPT-5. So we were probably previously seeing a 7-month doubling time, and now it seems to be accelerating, which is sort of case in point that
reasoning
is working.
No, it's not working. I would say it's improving.
But it's improving, and I mean,
not to the scale that human have.
But if you're saying that a task that takes a human 5 hours to complete, would you still say that that's not reasoning? I mean, de facto, it is reasoning to me. I mean, if it takes me 5 hours, then it can reason, it can plan.
Yeah, of course it's doing reasoning. It's just doing very shallow. Yeah, it's shallow reasoning.
Yes.
Right.
That I agree with.
Yeah.
But it's working. That's the thing.
Okay, yeah, well, it's working badly, but but I think we have a lot of opportunity to significantly improve the power of reasoning.
100%, I agree with you, and I think so. This is interesting to me what you said about Magnus Carlsen, because obviously the dude's a freak, and I mean he's amazing, and so it's difficult to tell what's going on inside his head, right, when he's playing. So, but you can look at the outcome of the play and say, dude, the dude's playing chess like at a top level. Is he reasoning? Is he just recalling frames? Is he just generating things on the go? There's no spoon. Yeah, what's happening here? You don't know, but you know for a fact that the dude runs at 100 watts like the rest of us. So whatever he does, that technique is energy efficient. And I think to Anders' point, the thing that mimics reasoning does so at a very low energy efficiency point.
For sure.
Because it's not reasoning, it's doing the semblance of reasoning. But at the same time, is there a hard barrier for us to solve this? No, I cannot possibly think so. If you have ones and zeros out there, scramble them around, eventually you figure out reasoning, because, who knows? So I think 100% that we're certainly still in for big surprises in terms of what tech can do, and digital tech can do, for sure. 100%. And I think any linear thinking is just not operationally valid for a long time. I also don't think that this singularity, exponential thinking, magical thing is either the way to go, but I think there are many things going on at the same time, and there will be certain breakthroughs in terms of, what we could do? We could move these ones and zeros around differently. It's called research, and we just figure something out, and all of a sudden, hoopla, we're doing like 70 on that benchmark instead of 55 or something.
I see the time is flying away, and we haven't even started on Goran's list here. We have just been speaking.
Yes, but it's super interesting. Super interesting.
Oops, now we lost. Sorry. Okay, I lost mine. Yeah.
That's what happened when you don't follow.
Okay, good.
But you don't follow script, you get cut.
Okay, but let's do one question, perhaps very, very briefly. And Do you have a favorite model release for 25? Is it like Grok 3 or is it GPT-5? Is it Gemini 3, Grok 4.1, Opus 4?
Yeah.
Do you have
all of them? I have one.
DeepSeek or Quen?
Opus 4.5.
Okay, right.
Yeah. Purely for coding.
Yeah. It's amazingly good, right?
Yes.
Why do you think that is? Why is Opus so good in coding?
I don't know. Next one.
This is actually a really interesting question. I've been trying to piece that together myself. Why is Anthropic so damn good at coding? They've been mostly at the top all the time since at least 3.5 Sonnet. And it's been amazing. And it's I don't know if they have better data or if it's just what we talked about before, that they have some sort of space to work with and they have a clearly defined scope, narrow scope.
So is it because this is what they like to do?
Yeah, they go for enterprise. And that's coding.
Let's do coding and go for that. Screw all else.
Yeah, it's maybe as simple as that they have a...
But everyone is saying they want to do coding, but no one is really doing it.
They were first with saying that we're doing it.
They're working with it longer, perhaps.
Could be.
Could it be?
I still think that they have some secret sauce.
Yes,
I think that they have some kind of data set or something like that. They're collecting data. They're also dog-fooding extremely much and probably have been since a long time.
One thing I really liked with the Anthropic approach for building models is the constitutional AI part, which means that they basically have an other model that is trying to judge how good something else. And that's basically a world model, I would say, actually, right? Perhaps they're I'm just guessing here. I have no insights whatsoever, but perhaps that's actually what they're doing for coding as well. And they have some kind of world model for coding that they can train on to actually generate data, infinitely if they want to, and probably in high quality by simply having constitutional. I don't know. I'm just guessing here.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe something that I'm thinking about a lot is like if you just give the model systems, like access to a lot of systems, and saying, okay, try to reproduce this system, so they can use it, they can interact with it, they can see all the code. So if you're running that all the time, and they have access to all these software systems that they built or they somehow have access to, maybe that's something that could generate this disproportionate amounts of good coding. If they started with that before anybody else, maybe that's the key.
But again, it's a bit strange. I mean, Microsoft, GitHub, OpenAI,
all the data in the world.
GitHub Copilots. I mean, so
Somebody should be able to do that.
The thing is, OpenAI has always been a consumer first.
Exactly.
They started the whole chatbot thing, and that was their focus for a long time. Whereas Anthropic very quickly went after the coding market.
Really smart. And they have huge revenue streams now from that.
Yes, and I think this is not talked about enough. To your point, I think earlier, you have to look at the sort of financial dynamics in which these various corporate entities operate within in order to understand what the hell is happening. And I think it's very different if you're OpenAI compared to if you're Google or because OpenAI is about showing potential revenue streams. It's about valuation of potential future, money, which is very different from, hey, Google just wants to, get the commission in and get the revenue in and, pay the stakeholders and I think these play out very differently. So therefore you will see consumer-oriented chatbot frequent drops that are like fun and people get engaged and you show, the numbers of users and you get valuation of that and blah, 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 which is different from, so Google wants to rake in money. What do you do? Or Claude wants to, what do you do? How do you get paying customers? Well, if you can solve a single problem, we go for coding and we just do that. I think a lot of these things go into that.
Lots of stickiness, high retention.
Yeah. So I think always you have to understand the financial, economic context of these companies simply because of the numbers are so big. So that therefore they have a disproportionate impact on corporate decisions.
What model will take the lead in 26, you think?
Model or model provider?
What's the difference?
And by lead, you're
Model
thinking
provider, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that will be GPT-6 maybe, or
Yeah,
Opus
if you-
5.
Google, Anthropic, and
Yeah.
But
Microsoft.
so you're thinking
or
in terms of
XAI or
user uptake or revenue generated or impact on culture?
I was thinking benchmarks and
Okay.
yeah, or like LM Arena kind of thing, or yeah, just something that seems to overtake the other models in terms of performance. Not user adoption perhaps, but yeah, you can choose. Yeah.
So that is interesting to me. Why not user adoption? Because I think there's a funny sort of elitist kind of view on these benchmarks that are, the benchmarks, blah, blah, blah. And you go like, oh, so the benchmarks were great,
I
but
think
then the
user
real world
adoption is just about having the best distribution in some sense. You can just integrate it into whatever products Microsoft or Google have, and then they will have the best one. It doesn't mean they have the best model, right?
No. Well, so is best generating money, generating joy, being used, showing something surprising technologically? What is best, right?
Yeah.
And I think you can, obviously we can spin this many different ways, but I think it's interesting to look at how are people using these various models. Because there seems to be, when I look at 2025, there seems to be two kind of groups of great usage of this. One is the coding dudes, the builders, the women and men who sort of create stuff. But then there are these others who are like these more casual consumer users. These are the Sora 2 users, right? And they are winning. They're winning the internet, right? Sora 2 to me is the most consequential model of 2025 simply because of its cultural impact and how it has completely changed
Interesting.
how people consume and produce YouTube style, TikTok style type media. And how that impacts revenues, how that impacts the whole thing. I mean,
and I
to
think-
me, it has been it's like remember Sam Altman and OpenAI complaining about the Ghibli studio images melting their servers because the users were just creating these images that this poor Japanese man was telling everybody not to do. And they were like, yeah, we shouldn't, but look at this. Woo! I mean, it's too funny. But anyway, so if you think about Sora 2 and its impact and what that brings in terms of it completely shuts down any possibility of validating anything consumed, mediated through a digital technology. It's just game over on that. Like BankID is holding on by its skin of its teeth nowadays because of Sora 2. I mean, it's just crazy, right? So
what do you mean with BankID? I didn't follow that.
The BankID supposes a level of trust between different stakeholders, and that's how you can transact monetarily between these stakeholders. But if you can't trust anything in terms of internet, if you're not on the pre-vetted blockchain type situation, if you're in a situation where you don't know the content produced, there's no watermarks about what's coming your way. Is this QR code actually, validated? Can I scan it? Can I use BankID? Can I go from generating anything moving in the digital world to something that is financially sound in terms of a constituent of society? I think we're seeing the end of a lot of things that we built to be lasting since the late 90s.
I'm not so worried about BankID, but I'm definitely worried about trusting what I see on the internet.
But you have to translate that. What's the impact of not trusting it in terms of your comfort level of transacting financially on the internet? It doesn't need to be BankID. You pick anybody.
Yeah, I got stuck in the technicalities.
You pay something, and you pay something on the surmise that it is what it's supposed to be. Like the Greeks say, yeah, this is the world. Look at how real it is. And you look at the David, and you're like, amazing. Or you look at the Pietà, and you look at the marble, and it's like, I can't believe it's marble. It looks like a cloth that is wet. And is it real or what's happening? Right then on the internet, everything's a dream now because Sora 2 just made it so good looking. So what happens with the internet after that kind of model? That's why I think it's so interesting.
Yeah.
All the deep fake porns, all the nudity crisis, all the rest, all the C-scam, everything is just completely...
I'm not worried in that, but I think one interesting point with what you're saying is I have to give an Elon Musk quote here as well. We haven't even spoken about the Elon. No, but I think he said something about the future of what apps on the mobile will be in some sense when we have generative AI in terms of videos that is amazingly good, like Sora 2. Then why do we really need apps at all? Why not simply the phone becoming the video client in some way, and everything is being rendered on the server, and it's just you just speak to it, it does what you want, and everything is handled in the cloud or something, and there is no real need for apps or anything. It's just some kind of sensor and display, right?
It's interesting. Like all the AI encoding will be gone because we will not need AI. We will not need to code anymore because it will only be generated on the fly.
Yeah.
No, I think that will happen.
And then we can all check out, just sit in a sun chair with a margarita, daiquiri, and whatever, and just to have the
amazing
bottle run havoc. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of an extreme thought.
When will that happen?
Yeah, not next year at least.
Not next year.
But I think
if you had to make a guess, when would you say?
Oof, I think 10, 15 years, perhaps. I don't know.
yeah, but so that's a cop out. That's like
It's a cop out.
10, 15 years. It's like who knows?
It's impossible to say, but I mean, you have to assume that it's like we have reached AGI, ASI, all of those things.
Okay, but let's move into a great question, and this is something that Henrik Jesper as well is speaking about all the time, and I think is interesting, and that's the technological progress of AI versus the adoption of AI. So even if we have Sora 2, and even if we have Sora 5, which is more or less like interactive video, you just speak to it, it just interacts with you, it's perfect video, you can't really tell anything from it, and it's amazing. Does it really impact companies? Does it really impact society? Does it really change our way of working that much? I would say no. It will take time, and it will take many, many years, even if the technological progress will go really, really fast.
Definitely, and it will be distributed very unevenly.
Yes,
that's
even more important. Yes, agreed.
There will be those companies that run with this, and then there will be the legacy companies that will struggle with this.
And I think the adoption will be dictated by the failure modes that we see in the models. So if they make failures that are very severe for business, they will not touch it unless they can actually predict what kind of failures they do.
Yes, and the next thing is, of course, how risk averse you are as a company, and that will dictate how well you are performing.
Yeah, again, like Google, what kind of legacy and stuff do they have to carry on, lug around? For instance, I mean, we have big companies that are not AI native that they will struggle a lot.
And this is kind of scary to me, I must say, because I think some companies will be much faster in adopting this. And of course, we can already see it today, and we've seen it for the last 5-10 years more or less already, that some of the tech giants are becoming insanely wealthy. And if you just look at the most wealthy companies, the top 10 in the world, in any kind of sector, it is the tech giants. It is the one that can scale the business model with data and AI. And, if that kind of divide or that kind of, if they adopt AI so quickly in these kind of few set of companies, and the rest of the one is trying to catch up, but it's still always slightly behind, that kind of divide will just continue to increase, not linearly, but actually potentially exponentially or polynomially, and that will be really scary. That will lead to a concentration of power, I think, that is really, really dangerous. And what do you think, Patrick? I know you have a lot of questions here.
So I agree. I think concentration of power in the hands of the few is a dumb idea. It's not resilient. It's vulnerable. It's easy to co-opt. It's dangerous. It's prone to error and stupidity, and I don't think we should go there.
There are few already, and they will be fewer.
And I recall many years ago I read an article about how is it that how could these tech companies form so quickly? And the basic argument was, well, the U.S. legislation managing mergers and acquisitions wasn't updated for the tech era in the late 90s. So when they got going and they acquired all these companies, and you saw these discernible epicenters of power like the Googles and
so what should Microsoft. We do? I mean, because they still operate, very well. They just acquire people and companies all the time, and right.
So here's, I think, the sort of the social cultural question we have to ask ourselves, and that is, to what extent can we offset, or to what extent are we comfortable with non-democratic oriented mechanisms to achieve certain efficiency gains?
What should we do then? I mean, should we remove capitalism?
No. Well, yes, my inner hippie says, of course we should. Capitalism is just not working and blah, 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 blah. But more concretely, I think diversity is good. And we we shouldn't fight for
You can't really-
diversity.
you can't really be angry with the company because they're successful.
No,
right?
exactly. So I'm not. So you shouldn't put blame on the companies, because the companies, the profit mechanism or the entity, the corporate entity is set up for a very specific purpose, and when it succeeds in that, you shouldn't shoot it down. I mean, obviously, right? So you have to think about the larger play and what kind of society do we want to create? And I think we have to look at various mechanisms in terms of technology or corporate legislation and see, how do these play out? So if you look at
Should we attack this with regulation, you think, or what should be the?
well, so the way I see it is regulation is good when you can't have people to self or can't take responsibility for their own behavior, and there are many reasons for this.
Yep.
Like you can't ask people with shortage of money to buy organic food because it's good for the planet or what have you, right? There are certain things that are just okay.
We have a lot of laws and regulation for a good reason, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
but I think we have to. There's a guy on LinkedIn that I follow whose name I keep forgetting, but he posts these interesting things, and he posted this one clip about the fact that we need to slow down. We don't need to speed up; we just need to slow down and you sort of take stock and to your point.
Do you think that's a good way forward to slow down? We tried that a number of times.
Well,
and it's
I'm
super
not.
hard.
Well, so I'm not saying that we necessarily should slow down, but the question is, when we build valuation of companies on the release cycle, that very quickly gets outdated. So we say, okay, so this benchmark was hit, so therefore we get a lot of valuation, so we get money in, they can do more of this, and then it turns out that nobody actually uses that thing because the function wasn't then there. So the 95% of the Gen AI pilots just don't go anywhere. And so, what's the value of succeeding with this benchmark? Why should that be the case? And should we have more quicker benchmarks?
What should we do? I mean, we have a big AI race. I mean, we are seeing now that Google was forced to just release stuff much faster than they even wanted to because of OpenAI and others, right? And then OpenAI have to do it much quicker because of DeepSeek and so many more things. So we are seeing this kind of race leading to releases that is perhaps too fast in some way. But what's the answer? Fredrik, please tell us.
I don't know. When I do, I will form a company around it. Immensely rich.
No, but so here's my beef with the pace. I mean, I'm sort of a forward-leaning guy, and I agree with Terence McKenna and the forward escape and the image of you go into the Death Star, you toss in the Molotov cocktail, and you get the hell out of there before it explodes, right? But if you don't make it, you're screwed. And that is sort of the human race on the planet with technology. We need to figure this out, and then we go to space and the rest of it. But I wonder if this narrative of look to the West will save us, because people are so very keen on saying, but
what's the answer then?
I'm not sure what the answer is, but I don't think the answer is to keep looking west, which has been the answer for a long time.
And looking east means what?
I don't know if we need to look east. Maybe we need to look inside. I don't know. But I'm just saying that there has been a tendency for culture to look to the West and look to Los Angeles, look to California. I mean, we're talking, denim
Could Europe
jeans.
start to play a bigger role here in some way?
Europe has to. Africa has to, and I think Africa is. I think there are some interesting things happening in Rwanda and in other places in Africa where you see, tech hubs form on their own terms. I think we need to, foster that. I think we need diversity on a grand scale. I don't think we will see this through with 4 dudes on the West Coast living in bunkers telling the rest of us how to live. I mean, 5 people owning 90% of technology, and that.
When I say something stupid that will make you really angry, Patrick?
No, please. Yes, please. Yes, of course. I love. Go.
Maybe Trump will save us.
Well, so
Can you guess what I mean when I'm saying that?
I don't know. Evolution through crisis.
No, but yeah, partly because Trump is forcing Europe to take action.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree with that.
So you should be thankful to Trump.
Well, crisis.
I'm a bit pushy here. Sorry for that.
No. So speaking as an American, but I agree that evolution through crisis is a tried and tested method. Yeah. Like the human race has been through some genetic bottlenecks. We were down to 200 people at some point. I mean, we lived through 5 ice ages without antibiotics and the rest of it. I mean, the human dudes we're great at a scramble. Yes. And that scramble hasn't been really there yet because we're also prone to being lazy and automated. You know, I forget who said this, but Joe Rogan restated it on the podcast some time ago about how hard people create soft times create soft people create hard times create hard people, and blah, 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 right? Maybe that is true or not, but it is certainly so that once a well-functioning democracy gets into Folkhemmet territory, we sort of ease up on the gas a little, and we sort of tone down the 68 political discourse, and we go for, you know, the Tesla car and the solar panels, and we sort of chill with the demonstrations on 1st May and all the rest of it. And with that then comes a slightly different political wind that is not managed.
Yes,
and I
but do you
think
have
that
any
is
thoughts? Jesper, do you have any thoughts about this? How can we avoid, you know, perhaps the concentration of power and tech progress is moving faster than adoption, and these kind of easy questions?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to take a contrarian approach again, in my personal life, do I care?
You don't?
I mean,
You don't care about concentration of power?
Does it affect me? And I mean,
the circle of influence and
exactly. It's like, and that's also again, I guess, stating the problem. I mean, I don't care. I just want this thing to move as fast as possible. That's okay. Sort of my point of view, and I hear how dumb it sounds, but that's sort of my inner voice. Like I'm loving this. I want the release to be faster. I want everything now. I think that's great. Then we have the problem of we talked about what would happen if, let's say, there's somebody making a decision that inference will not go outside of US. Let's say that would happen. Then I would stand there feeling like a fool, because, I mean, this could happen. And these are the kind of things that I'm worried about. Like, what will happen when we reach AGI or whatever? Let's say we reach something super powerful and it's only released in the US. Only US companies can use it. That's when it becomes really scary. And do I have a solution for it? No, I don't. I think regulation to some degree, but I mean, what can EU stop the US from doing US first? No.
I mean, I have a topic here about the Nordics and Europe. So let's try to go there at some point, and perhaps we can, you know, guide all the policymakers, you know, how we should do it. Well, it could be nice, but I think it's a very interesting question. You know. Okay. If we were to just speak about, you know, still the adoption problem a bit more, and then we can perhaps move to the Europe question. But we can sort of course see the big tech giants in the moving super fast, and Nvidia is like exploding in value, and I don't think actually Nvidia will continue to grow. But that's, do you agree? By the way,
I agree.
Good.
I agree with you.
I think they will plateau a bit.
They will plateau, of course they will.
Yeah.
And then there will be a paper that's for memory, and they will have to shift gears. And you know, the memory is really expensive right now.
Why will it plateau?
I don't know.
No,
I guess the plateau in the sense of their margins will become smaller. They will have competition.
You mean AMD will catch up?
No, I think the Chinese will. I mean, you probably read the chip war book, but I think they will catch up sooner than we think. And then there will be something different.
So this is super interesting, I think, because I mean, so Nvidia has been tremendously successful once they figure out how to leverage GPUs for specific workloads, and those workloads were the sought after workloads.
And I think for people that may not understand it, Nvidia is the world's most wealthy company in the world right now. Yeah. Bigger than Google and Microsoft.
Are they still bigger than Google?
Not.
I mean, Google increased a lot recently.
Okay,
but they're big.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, I think the point is valid, right?
Yeah,
so
definitely.
That they were up in $5 trillion valuation at some point.
And so the narrative has really been, okay, build it and they will come.
Yeah.
Like Field of Dreams, Kevin Costner territory. Like just get the GPUs out, increase the release cycles, you know, make it available, make sure that companies like Hewlett Packard Enterprise and the rest of us create servers for these GPUs and have all the other, equipment, infrastructure pieces be there so there are no bottlenecks, and just churn it out and sort out the rare earth metals and go. And that has been going on for some time. And, there's been these talks about, NVIDIA is courting UK government to get OpenAI, blah, blah, blah. At the same time, you're reading these stats about the over-establishment of data centers and how difficult it is for certain to have high utilization and how few customers are actually using them. And when you sort of scratch the surface, you realize that, so some of these, heavy-duty foundational model type of companies are certainly churning up a lot of infrastructure need. But the rest of the adoption, the enterprises, the mid-sized companies, what are we doing with this? Well, not much. So people are like, okay, so on the one hand, we're being FOMO'd into investing into infrastructure for AI compute, and it's being burnt by a very few, and then a tremendous amount of people don't really see the use case. Like, what are we going to do with this GPU that IT bought? And in between comes all these reports about, the discrepancy about, the possibilities and the tech company's valuation, and imagine how wealthy you could be if you're a tech company. And you're like, but we do plumbing, and what are we going to do with the data center? So I think all of this will have to be balanced out over 2026. I think 2025 has been a very wild ride. I'm sure if you're in finance, not in tech, but in finance, and you're seeing these $100 billion deals flying left, right, center, you see these charts about the interconnectivity, about
Okay, so try to close this topic then. We spoke about the tech progress. We're seeing the frontier companies, tech giants really flying off, and concentration of power, and the rest of the companies are lacking behind with adoption. But if we ask a question, which company will be the big winner in 26? Not NVIDIA, probably. Not probably OpenAI, I would guess. I think we all were. Are we still agreeing on that NVIDIA and OpenAI will not be the...
Yep.
I agree with that. I don't think they will.
I mean, just looking at the scale out plans for all companies, I can't see NVIDIA losing the next year unless there's somebody catching up already now. I think
but they have order books for many, many years.
Yes,
They will, of course, make a lot of money. Yes. Independently what happened, they will still make money for many years to come.
Yes.
I think we can be sure about that. But still, will they be the big winner?
Like in terms of the delta,
yes.
most increase, I would actually guess that Apple would be that. I think they will nail the consumer cycle and finally make that right, because they have the distribution and they have the gadgets. Yes. And I'm not an Apple guy in terms of phones.
Nor am I, but interesting.
I think that
because they don't waste money on building the frontier models, or what?
I'm not sure if like now they have a crisis with management leaving. I hear, but I think. In terms of kind of using things that other people have built already, and they have the consumers for it, and they're kind of, how do we get this right?
100%. And when Apple makes a move, it's going to be a well-founded, commercially sound move targeting end consumers. And what end consumers mean is real fresh money in.
These lots of data in.
These end consumers have wallets. Now the bots on internet, they don't have wallets. I know that, but the financial traders, they have blah, 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 blah. Yes, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about exactly what you're saying. Once we see Apple move into this space, it's going to signal a real value in a use case that is undeniable.
Where do you think that value will be? That's an interesting question.
It could be anything, right? It could be, an AI feature in Roblox or something that is just taking off, and then Apple monetizes that in their app store or something. I don't know. But I totally see that as the signal for when the course correct, because now the most valued companies are the sort of the tech providers, the enablers of this amazing thing, and we are evaluating them based on proficiency and benchmarks, but that is not adoption or use, and Apple is all about that. So I think you look towards Apple, you look towards what's the older guy's name, Berkshire Hathaway guy, Buffett, right? You look at that kind of investment, the long game.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, good. Interesting, and I think that comes back to the Nordic and Europe. So keep that in mind, what Apple is trying to play at. But if we just keep at the tech giants for 1 second, I have strong beliefs, if we call it that, not hopes, but beliefs in XAI. I think they will take the lead in many ways and forms in 26. Anyone that agrees or disagrees?
I disagree. Well, I don't. I'm only thinking about the LLM kind of things, and the rest of it I can't speak for. I would say that the most likely thing is that Google will keep on winning. That's my guess. They have the scale, they have the distribution, they have the knowledge inside of. They have all this diversity in sort of approaches. So I think they will probably continue to lead the race.
Who do you think, Fredrik, will be the big winner in end of 26 in terms of frontier AI providers?
It's interesting that you mentioned XAI. I have not got a hold of them, really. I don't use X for much. I haven't really tried Grok. Maybe I should. I still like kind of lean for Anthropic and the thing that they address with enterprise and coding still. Winning in that sense, I'm not sure what that means, but
who knows? Benchmark or
if it's for attention, I'm inclined to agree with XAI because I guess that the midterms is going to take place, right? In the US, and there's going to be like a spectacle around that, and I guess that those two old dudes are still pretty close in terms of what they believe.
Patrick, do you have any?
I don't think XAI is going to win. I think they will win in the US. And if the US wins, yes, then sort of indirectly they will sort of. But I think the user adoption of X will just peter out because it's just so dumb at points, at certain places. It's just too dumb. I mean, it's generally okay, and then it's really dumb. So I think that will be a problem to succeed globally. But I think Google will do well. I think the sort of incumbents will continue to do well. I think it's very difficult to upset that. I don't think, I think OpenAI will have a hard 2026. I think they will struggle massively.
Yeah.
I think NVIDIA will work the order books and then have to start to pivot towards some other infrastructure technology like memory-oriented stuff or something.
We'll see if Sam will still be the CEO of
Interesting,
OpenAI.
right?
Yeah.
US
Sorry, you
post-Trump.
want to say something?
We're constantly looking to the West.
Yeah.
What about Alibaba?
Yes.
Alibaba, I mean, when and stuff like that.
Yeah,
The
good question.
Chinese models. I know too little about them to have an opinion, but I think that's where it's going to be like an increase a lot.
I think still they are really good in engineering, but perhaps not so much innovation. But who knows?
They have a large like customer base.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah.
But they will not be the big innovator, I don't think. But that's who knows?
I agree. Just the fact I've heard, I haven't confirmed it, but OpenAI is said to have more compute than the whole of China. So I think if that is true, then I think
They will win. Yeah.
I mean, US will win. That is definitely my thinking. Then there will be use case for Quen. Definitely, I definitely see the value in it, and that's more to the case of like having more efficient models, maybe faster inference, that kind of.
But what will happen with Taiwan?
Yeah.
And,
That's
TSMC.
don't even go there. That's dangerous. Dangerous stuff.
If something happens there, the whole supply chain for the US and the GPUs will be.
Yeah,
They will not.
I don't think US will allow anything to happen.
But then we still have like something that's going on there, and it will be interruptions.
That will be horrific.
Yeah.
Okay, so time is flying away, and I'd like to go back a bit about to the Nordic and Europe, and then perhaps also to the Apple kind of thing, but where they may not be the top frontier AI lab, but potentially be really good in adopting AI. What do you think about the Nordic landscape? Could in a best case scenario, what could we do to really make 2026 a good year in terms of? I think we can all agree Sweden, the Nordics, and Europe will not be the frontier like AI provider, right?
Provider.
Not correct.
You never know.
Yeah,
Well,
very, very.
Should we? I mean,
No, exactly.
No,
yes.
we shouldn't.
No, we shouldn't.
I think we should be proud of what we have, and that we're very good at using the models.
Yes. So even though I hate Apple, sorry to say that, I think potentially their approach could be something for the Nordics and Europe to take on.
what was that approach?
To be really good at adopting, not building
Yes.
AI. meaning, right? And if we get really good in finding ways to build companies to really quickly adopt the use of AI in a potentially responsible way, I think it could be really positive.
Yeah, I think.
And we don't have to waste money on building these kind of huge infrastructure data centers. We don't have to waste so much money in training the super big models. We can spend money on actually building real value.
Yes, definitely. I think it's probably not the best position to be as a company to build out AI models. It's a very costly and very difficult business.
Yeah, you have five of them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's enough.
Yeah, and as long as we can keep that source for everybody to use, then I think we're much better off building things that build on that and solving real world problems, which we are quite good at today, I think.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, now we're talking about one or maybe a few different architectures that we're using already, but I mean, the next innovation or research might be in Europe, and we come up with something that's more on 100-watt scale, that's actually more beneficial for everything. And then we have sorted out the things with the data, probably, and the business needs, and
I think that this is also something, maybe a tangent, but I think this is one of my key takeaways from 2025, that this was the year when Sweden got good at AI. Before 2025, it seemed like it was just data scientists playing with the models and doing RAG. But now it's like everybody is doing it. And there's surprisingly high levels of competence, I think, in Stockholm at least. I haven't seen much outside of Stockholm. I'm sure there are other places, but Stockholm is really a good place to be at, and I'm super happy to be here.
Yeah, 100%. And I think you're absolutely right. And I think you're right, and I think you're right as well. I think everybody's right.
You're agreeing too much here. It's supposed to be an evening of disagreements.
No, but because I'm thinking about technology as like there are stepping stones in technological progress, and everybody doesn't have to create the Betamax cassette or the DAT cassette, or you can just wait out the streaming stuff and figure out Spotify and then just fucking hit it and you succeed.
And you
right?
do minidisc instead.
Boom.
Yes.
You have the US and China and all these other large economies work out these intermediary steps, and once you see, so now we're approaching the streaming state, the steady state. Like this is the S curve in terms of technology. This is something usable. You can have an agentic execution. You can have some memory persistency. You can have certain things. Then you only need to put that to use. You don't really need to create the fighter jet of Saab. Like you can, but it's a unique kind of approach with that kind of economy and country to have that kind of engineering prowess and production capability is unique. Maybe you can't replicate that across, but you can replicate something else, namely LM Ericsson, for instance. They didn't invent the telephony stuff. They just got the license for the technology for the Nordics because the other guys didn't bother with it. So they ran with it and they created Ericsson out of that. Amazing. And I think that kind of thinking is what we're seeing now in Stockholm for sure. We're not seeing the slow, steady success of the WASP program and the PhD candidate program, all of the stuff. We're seeing an influx of talent leveraging master degree type programs at lower levels and benefiting from the social swirl that is Stockholm today in 2025. And there's a tremendous amount of swirl. And there are so many people that do so many amazing things. And these guys all rub shoulders because Stockholm is like this tiny little fish pond. Everybody knows everybody. After 5 minutes, you go to 2 meetups, you know everybody.
You go to your meetups.
Yeah, you go to my meetups and you meet other people. But so you cross-fertilize. And so I think...
I guess the old definition sort of artificial intelligence from, was it 1956, is the science and engineering of making smart machines, whatever. We did the science, now it's the engineering stuff. And that's where we can build stuff without doing the science. And then we're back to science again soon.
Yeah, so I think Sweden should really, and the Nordics and Europe should lean into this entrepreneurial thing because that's our prowess. And that's not needing these massive financial structures. I mean, yes, you can do a Series A $200 million, funding round, but you can also do different things, and you can do a lot of them.
Yeah, but I guess we will see some tech companies,
Yeah.
the few selected handful kind of companies building this huge model. They will be amazing. They will do so many cool stuff that we haven't even been able to imagine today. So cool, but they will probably be super, super expensive. And for one to train, but even to use. So, we've been saying many times, we will see like a big proliferation of SLMs, or these kind of small language models or small foundational models that will be the one that actually is being used for adoption, or actually is being used for real value. And I guess, the one that actually gets the best in being able to build and use SLMs or normal size foundation models, they could be the winners, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's an area that's up for grabs. And
I even if you look at the pricing for instance OpenAI right now, you have the really expensive stuff. I'm not sure how much you have to pay for it per month, but it's really expensive. And then you have the really cheap stuff like GPT-5 Nano.
Yeah.
So there's a large span of things there. And if we could just carve out one of those areas, if that's kind of correlated to the actual model sizes or capacities, wherever, there's use cases in each of these tranches of pricing, I would say.
Yes.
To the point of SLMs.
Yeah.
For me, it's obvious. This is really where we should invest. This is where we should do both research and engineering in how to fine-tune that to companies for their own needs and for society. I mean, if we actually invest in that, Jesus Christ, I think it could be an amazing opportunity.
So the way we think of it, when we speak about companies, all at all areas, is that we think that we could build stuff with, let's say, OpenAI, and so we get like a stable feature set that we want to provide to our customers.
Yeah.
And then the kind of end game is to finalize that feature set and bring them home, like train small models for doing exactly that. And then we will not be like stuck with big third-party providers in that sense. And then we need these SLMs, definitely.
And okay. But just perhaps taking another topic before we go even more philosophical, but of course we've seen insane amount of investments in infrastructure in US and in Europe actually as well, partly. Some AI gigafactories being built, and Sweden we have spherical AI. It's the first like GB300 is coming to Europe. Really cool stuff. But then we can wonder, okay, so what the question I guess is, how can we find value for these kind of big investments? And if we take like Stargate in US and $500 billion in these kind of huge data centers being built in Memphis, etc. And if you were to look at it really negatively, and I want to have a positive spin here, but negatively you can think, okay, they're investing in GPUs now that's going to be legacy in 3 years perhaps.
Yeah.
In reality, they have to really get the money back in a very few set of years for insane amount of money.
But part of that money is going to the actual buildings and the infrastructure, right? So when you change or whatever slot out your...
Is it the majority of the money?
I don't know. I guess many of the things will go to electricity.
Yeah, true.
But still.
Yeah, electricity will be a really interesting thing to follow.
Yeah.
Like what will happen to our electricity prices?
Orbital data centers.
Yeah, the space is interesting, right?
Yeah.
Everyone is speaking about building data centers in space now these days. It's kind of insane.
Who else? I heard Google was talking about it. Are there more companies doing that?
Yeah, of course, XAI is doing it.
China.
In China?
China was the first one, and then after 2 weeks...
Amazon is doing the
Interesting.
same. I think Microsoft also, and I think every...
Well, they trained the first language model, I think, in space last week or 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah. Just a small test, I think.
Yeah, cool stuff. Yeah, I just think it's interesting with this insane amount of investments in infrastructure. If you take it from a positive side, it's not really the training of the model that's necessary for this, I think, But imagine, us using AI assistants all the time. Every human, all the time, they're going with the mobile phones and asking stuff and just having this kind of moving towards a video stream client or something. It will be an insane demand, right?
Yeah.
That will be, in the orders of hundreds of thousands times higher than today.
Yeah.
And then we need this kind of infrastructure, right? So how do we even do that? I think I think we need some breakthroughs in terms of compute.
Yes. Like
Because-
energy
Yes, energy efficiency, like neuromorphic computing kind of stuff, right? With a human brain being able to do stuff in 20 or 100 watts, and we need megawatts in a GPU to do the same thing. And if we can get down to 1,000 of that, and if the one that actually succeeds doing that, they will be the winners in my view.
Do you think that would be one of the big tech companies now, or something else?
I think that would be what they use AI for.
Yeah.
AI building a more efficient AI. That's what I think.
Yeah, like that could also be, you can think of why are they investing so much in getting first to AGI, and that could actually, Jesper, be the reason that the one that actually do get the smarter one can build the even smarter one, right?
Yeah, and you can build anything.
Yes.
I think that's the simple reason. You can do anything if you have super powerful AI.
Are we on the AGI topic?
Now, but infrastructure still, and just thinking, why are we seeing this kind of insane investments in infrastructure? Training is one thing, but probably even more so is the inference use, and we will have perhaps in a couple of years every person using AI 10 times or even 1,000 times more than today. And then we need some infrastructure.
I think there's also this thing, I guess, speaking to your kind of topics, there's this arms race around AI. I mean, it's obvious that US wants to beat China, and they're seeing this as an existential thing to be the lead,
it's
global
a national
leader.
security
Yes,
issue.
it's a national security issue to be the best at AI in the US. That's what I'm hearing.
Absolutely, 100%. And think of it like the space race between the US and Soviet Union. Yeah. I think it's very much that cultural, dominance thing. But also, like you accurately point out, there are, for sure, geopolitical power mechanisms in play here that are completely hinging on your technology prowess. Like cyber warfare, the rest of it, fake news, new propaganda, manipulation, political instability, all the stuff that secret police type entities have been working forever. And now they have this superpower. And the fact that we're all connected to the internet, we're all reachable. It's just an API call away, touch 10 billion people. Woo, let's go. So obviously, I mean, and I think this is a super dark and terrible and horrible aspect of this. And I think we can't really shy away from it. But I also think it's difficult as a non-actual expert in the field to have a valid point to provide, sort of. Like I looked at others, and obviously you have, but I think for most of us, we can go like, so AI for weapons industry, bad. But you still want your team to have the biggest club.
Yeah. But let's take a positive spin on it then. What do you think? What do we think that AI will be used for? I mean, so I said that you can build anything if you have the most powerful AI you can think of. What do you think we will build? I mean, I think it's interesting that OpenAI at least talks a lot about research. That this is what they're planning to do now, and I guess the best case is just making an AI researcher, because that's improving what they're doing. But they're also leaning into a little bit the research aspect of it, and we will probably see AI doing research discoveries next year. That's I think not even a bold prediction at this stage, even though it feels weird to say that out loud. But I think we will see like real scientific breakthroughs, small ones next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And to return to your point in terms of infrastructure and why are these built out, and what's the arms race really about, and what's going on here, why all the investments? I really think that it's because of something that Yuval Harari spoke very eloquently about in terms of the human naked apes. We're like creatures of the imagination. We live through stories. And there's a story everybody can get on board on today being told, and that is, imagine if we can just extrapolate prowess in technology into the future. Imagine the things that we can do. And we go like, I can imagine that. I mean, imagine anything. Well, I mean, you think about Matrix, you think about any movie or book that you read, you think about your own dreams in terms of, if I could just have a digital agent avatar kind of person do stuff for me, what would I ask it to do? And I mean, everybody can see this, and everybody understands that, well, regardless of what you're seeing in terms of your vision of the future, it will require infrastructure and compute.
Yeah.
So you can't go wrong, sort of. Even if you're saying, yeah, but what about the financial
going to see a lot
operating?
of progress in terms of how you can build the hardware and the infrastructure, and if they actually do invest in a lot of things that is going to be obsolete in a couple of years, that could be horribly bad.
But I don't think it's going to be obsolete. I think that's a negative misconception of the possibilities, because once
but imagine that they do like super big advances in neuromorphic computing, and you can get something that is similar to the human brain in terms of energy consumption, then of course it would be really stupid to build out infrastructure that is this in energy consuming as they are today, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But you could probably make use of that older stuff for some other stuff.
Yeah, but super expensive.
I mean, I'm thinking about Christian Langer and Berget AI, and this funny story he told about the sort of how Berget AI came about. And he had this. He was at one of our meetups, and he told this wonderful story about how he sort of more or less had some servers around. And they were all like legacy stuff. And I was like, yeah, maybe we could create an inference machine out of this. Like, how hard can it be? You equip it with some GPUs and off you go, right? And so it wasn't that easy. But I think like it would be sad if your vision of creating a piece of infrastructure and hardware and equipment is that if it's not used for what it's supposed to be used for, it's obsolete per definition. And I don't think so. I think kids will find uses of these legacy data center type equipments that are, look at this old GB400 thing.
Yeah, but I think it's we certainly need the infrastructure build outs. It's just that it is, it's on a scale that is, insane. I mean, they're spending money that is like GDP of Sweden. Like all the income, all the companies combined is what's being built in US as terms of AI infrastructure right now.
Money they don't have.
Yeah. That's being loaned from companies that loan money to do that buy it from other companies that loan money to do that. I mean, it's
but to me,
turtles all the way down.
Yes, turtles all the way down. But it's also to me a completely separate story. Like there are two parallel stories going on at the same time. One is we're building the data center, shovels in the ground, buying cables, connecting stuff, and leveling, trees and the rest of it. But the other is a financial dream thing that is happening parallel, and people tend to confuse the two.
So
but I don't think they should be confused.
Yeah.
Like the financial thing is, I'm not a macroeconomic guy, but I was surprised that Larry Ellison could put those $300 billion.
The Oracle CEO,
the Oracle CEO could put those $300 billion on the books as future revenue and have his stock increased by 40%.
But now they're down.
And now they're down,
40%
obviously.
in September. Yeah.
Obviously, right? Because what is that? I mean, that's just... So I think... But I think it's important, because if we want to understand where the future is going, we need to distinguish between the financial spiel narrative thing and what is actually, the progress being made, and that is genuine.
So going back to the Nordics then, and trying to close this topic a bit, and perhaps even Sweden in this case, I think there was some positive news in 25 in terms of Sweden when the government actually did some significant investments in AI. It was a couple of billion over 5 years. It wasn't the 12 billion Swedish crowns that the Swedish AI Commission were asking for, but it was at least like a tenth of it at least, and it's not that bad. No. I was actually surprised that it was that much. What do you think? Do you think Sweden is very positively surprised with the budget that came out from the government in Sweden? Jesper?
I don't have much to say actually. I didn't follow it, and I think to some degree it doesn't affect me.
You're like the Zen Buddhist at the table. I love it.
I mean, what happens with that money? What are we going to do? I don't know. I haven't followed the news.
But that I think is an excellent angle, though. Yeah. Exactly right. It's easy to conceptualize the amount and then compare the amount and contrast the amount with some other amount from some other place. But your question is a much better question, because even if you only fork up, 5 billion, if you put 5 billion into social welfare for homeless people in Stockholm. That amount of money is a tremendous amount of money.
Yes.
But if you funnel it into creating the quantum computer in one of those KTH labs, maybe not so much.
No.
Yeah,
A lot of quantum
So
computing.
what's the expected outcome of this? I mean, that's the thing.
Probably we're
Is
going
it
to be
knowledge?
world leading.
Is it knowledge or world leading probably in Mälardalen?
Yeah, but I still, I'm trying to end off in some kind of positive sense here. That's
Yeah,
what I'm,
I mean,
and then you're
it's-
bashing it down all the time.
But shouldn't we be contrarian? No.
Yes.
But maybe you tell us because I didn't follow it. I don't know what happened.
No, but they actually did, I think, invest a significant amount, and they even earmarked it to specific, concrete investments they're going to do.
That's good.
In Försäkringskassan and tax authority, knowledge, the KB, the National Library, and
Then I think it's good because you have like an outcome in mind for it, and it's also a testament to that this is important. Let's do it.
yes,
Yes, and you also have a bottom-up approach because
Yes.
if that figure, 5 billion, if it's just taken,
it was that much, but
no, but whatever,
some billion.
if you build it up from the ground up and say, you know what, Försäkringskassan could actually benefit from this money for this project. So there's 100 million there, and then you continue piecing it together. Then you get a very good, worked out, this is the purpose for that investment, and that justifies, the nation coming together on this. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And also, I should say, I haven't either kept close tabs on this, but I'd be super willing to just lean on Tech Sverige and ask them, what did you think about that? And if they say we think it's good, I'm going to say it's good.
But will
just
they?
based
They
on
will-
that.
we want some more. They will say.
They will probably
by
say they want
definition.
more.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I think Tech Sverige is a really good
Yes, I agree.
place for vetting and assessing politically motivated investments into technology. I think Tech Sverige, they're doing some really good stuff, and I'm happy for them.
Cool. And I want to throw up a controversial topic. What will happen with open source AI in 26? I think what the answers will be here, but still, I would like to. If we start with you, Fredrik.
I was in one of these meetups or get-togethers, I think last year, and I was to debate a topic with someone, and we all thought the same thing. So we had to agree to disagree. So I chose the point of arguing in favor of proprietary API delivered LLMs, and Kajsa Norin said, well, I'll take the open source.
Yeah.
And there's merit to both approaches, but they're not the same. I mean, if you buy something from OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, there are services, not models, right? So it's a completely different thing. You put in your credit card.
Which has pros and cons, right?
Yeah, of course. So it's a different use cases. Like I mentioned before, we are now working with things that we can buy over API, and then we get the feature set we want, and then we envision that we'll bring home the open source models and retrain them. So there's different things.
But you can retrain through the APIs as well.
Yeah, I guess.
Right?
But if you want to have control, for the sake of your business, you don't want to depend on third parties too much. So that's so I guess there's what will happen in open source is that it's not really a competition. There's an overlap with the other models because it's not the same kind of stakeholders that are using them. So I guess open source will benefit from the increase of use in like services, proprietary things, and maybe vice versa as well. So I think there's going to be everyone will benefit. We will live happily ever after and prosper. I think it would be better.
Before I know what Patrick thinks about this, but before we go there, we can see China, of course, being very open source, and we can think about why they are. And we can also see the top frontier labs, I would say, go in the other direction, and then perhaps at least for the latest kind of models, even Meta is not releasing them, nor is Mistral and other companies. What do you think in 26? Will it? I mean, a good thing is that OpenAI actually did GPT OSS, meaning they actually did release a model that, of course, wasn't the latest one, but it was, second to last or something, which is similar to what Elon said. They're never going to release the latest model in open source, but second to last, could be. What do you think will happen in 26? Will that continue in that way, or?
Now we're talking about the providers. We're not talking about the real elephant in the room, which is Hugging Face, right? where everything is collected and because that's also
but they don't build models.
No, exactly, but that's just distribution. So if you build something, post it there, and it might be a success from a single person, private person, small lab, whatever, it will get distribution, and that would impact the use of open source. And now they're into robotics as well. So I think there's no contradiction between closed source and open source here. I think the big labs will
but
obviously
will
not
the
do
trend go towards proprietary or towards open source?
it depends again on, it always depends, but I mean, it's unevenly distributed. So the really techie people will probably look at open source and say, is this something we could justify actually running ourselves? Or is it too expensive? Do we need the manpower? Or do we have the manpower for it? If not, we will go with proprietary source. I think. So I think different use cases, I think it will continue to grow, and it's not really competition.
Patrick?
Yeah, so what do I actually think? I think, well, I know what I want to happen.
What do you want to happen?
I want open source to win and everybody to embrace it and release everything. Information wants to be free.
But then you will just move the power to something else, like the hardware providers.
Yes, or like you say, the distribution. But so this is an interesting question, and I realize I'm ideologically wedded to wanting open source because I think it's so beautiful. But I think it comes down to, I think the way you distinguish between open source and service, I think is very true, because a service is a dependency on something that you don't care too much about. You go to the restaurant for a nice meal, you don't really care about things. You want the plate to look nice and taste good and be priced accordingly, and off you go to glory. And I think that will be super relevant for a bunch of stuff. But I really do think that the more central our use of this version of digital technology will be, the more we embrace it as a core component. Think Linux into how ubiquitous it is.
But do you see any negative aspects of, if we were to move everything to open source, could there be some negative impact on that?
Well, I mean, I'm not knowledgeable enough to actually have a proper answer, but I can tell you that I think that the downside is precisely the kind of downside we see with any collaborative effort. It's messy, it's non-efficient, it's confusing, it's changing over time. People have the same view of the United Nations, and they're like, oh, it's so inefficient, and God damn it, and like, why can't we just build a wall? And because the totalitarian states can.
But we know, of course, from an IP point of view, people or companies don't want to release the latest one because they can simply very easily steal it, which DeepSeek did before and showed it. And it's very easy to do. So, of course, they're not going to do that from an IP point of view. And okay, that's not from the best of society. It's simply from a commercial point of view. You don't want to do it. But there could also be security implications here, right? If we were able to generate Sora videos, and then you can fine-tune it to remove all the watermarks that they are providing in it, it would actually create some problems from a security point of view as well, right?
100%. And again, to return to your point about pace, how do we increase pace? Well, the way to increase pace is just to flood the market with stuff for people to seek their teeth into.
Sure,
and then out of that will come the most surprising things, good and bad. But there will be more of it.
Is it worth any cost to do that? Like security implications?
Well, so the question you should ask yourself, I think, is rather, what kind of security approach would you like? Think of it in terms of, these, the C-scam, the chat control, these various political measures that are geared towards preemptive misuse, like minority report territory. And you have to ask yourself, but to what extent am I comfortable with that kind of policing thing in order to weed out the worst case fallout, which is sort of the EU Act risk mitigation approach, right? We want to figure out the worst negative fallout and then backtrack from that and say, okay, that's not okay. That needs to be regulated. That's okay to just go do, because we want to look at
But you can even take the Jan LeCoultre approach here, saying actually it is more secure to have open source out there because you can actually test the security of it in a way you couldn't if it's proprietary.
Exactly. So
I'm not sure I'm buying it, but still, you could take that approach.
Yeah. So what I'm leading towards is, how do you want to play your defense? Because if pace is the future and you want to go, but you still want to sort of not have too much chaos and negative fallout, how do you go about it? Because you can go full Stasi and just have everybody report on everybody and just lock everything down and it's super strict but you're like, I don't want to live there. So where do you want to live? You want to live in free America, okay, but you don't want to live in downtown San Francisco. But so what I'm trying to say is there are ways to balance and trade and find trade-offs, but those are not preemptive.
How do you do that?
They have to be reactive.
How do you do it? Regulation or what?
Regulation for sure, yes, absolutely. And you have to do it through societal structures. Like there are very few.
But if you put an open source model out there, regulation have no way to impact that anymore, right?
But what I'm saying is misuse is a direct consequence of stupidity.
But
but I think it's valid, right? So you have,
But I mean, you alluded to the data thing that you could, retrain or train stuff on synthetic data.
And remove stuff.
So and in that case, it's enough. If you mean that you have an open source model that could generate data for you and train on that, it's enough with one copy.
Yes.
And if it's not stupid use, it's like malicious use. Yes. And I think that's where you're going because of maybe part of your background. Some state actors want to get this.
Of course.
And there were stories about this a year and a half ago about Meta's llama models being used in China for stuff.
Yeah.
And
not distilled from OpenAI as well.
Yeah. I'm not sure if there's a way around that and have open source as well.
I mean, at the current sort of technical landscape, it doesn't seem like a big risk with open source because there's such a high pace of development. So, I mean, for example, the DeepSeek moment that we had this year, super interesting moment in 2025 for many reasons, and it was out there and people could do anything with it. But now that model is history, and I mean, we're always looking to the next thing. So where we
had a nice reasoning model with the 3.2 coming up.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not arguing against it. I'm just saying 3.2 will also be irrelevant in a year from now.
Yes, I agree.
So I don't see really a problem with open source because there will always be a new model.
It depends again, I think, on the areas of use. If you're thinking of the state of the world today as we perceive it or as I perceive it, there's a lot of unrest, unruliness, and there's a higher and higher level of background noise of stuff happening, and you don't know if it's true or not. Just have to, like you throw a mine in Östersjön and say there's mines here, and people have to be very careful. So there's the same thing going on, I think, in one level, with respect to what people are like subjected to, in terms of polarizations and info ops and so on, psyops. And then that doesn't have to be the latest model; it just have to be one. And you have.
But there's always going to be an arms race, and I mean, there's going to be like the black side and the white side, and they're going to compete against each other. And I don't see a risk of like one model coming out because there will be a much better model. In just.
And you mean the good side will use the better models to detect stuff?
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. Since other people would do bad stuff, let's us do bad stuff. That sounds like a really good idea.
No, that's not one.
It's certainly the modus operandi of today.
So what about the positivity that we should end?
I think there is positivity here, but I still want to sort of ground this because I think there's this I think very unhealthy fear-mongering, banging the drum of, but this technology is so amazing and powerful. We're going to have the PhD candidates around the corner and blah, blah, blah. So we can't give it to everybody because you imagine what the terrorists going to do with the PhD candidate. It's going to create the bombs and keep them away from the technology. And you're like, but really, that won't work because technology travels, information wants to be free, and everybody gets it eventually. So so
you think all the safeguarding that everyone tech giant is spending so much time on is completely useless?
No, but what I'm saying is
you are saying that.
What I'm trying to say is you don't prevent Russia from invading Ukraine by limiting their access to outdated weapons. It's
No,
not
not
the access.
affected.
It's not the access to weapons
No.
that decides if they're going to invade or not. It's mental hygiene. You have to play the long game here, and you have to have belief in your fellow human being, and that belief has to be: if you create a society that feeds, clothes, shelters, buries the dead, do all that great stuff, and you increase the median
So we don't need regulation
income.
at all? Is
I'm,
that what
no,
you're
no,
saying?
no, no. I love regulation. I want everything to be free, legal,
just said
and
the
regulated.
opposite.
No, I'm not saying the opposite. What I'm saying is you have to fight it through the long-term investment in society, not through a prevention of access to technology, which will anyway seed into the user community regardless of your preventative efforts. It's mute. It's like the war on drugs. You can't have war on open source. It's not going to work ever.
Should we stop the war on drugs?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
100%. It hasn't given us anything.
Yes.
Okay, that's a big topic. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's agree to disagree.
Finally, some
Yes.
disagreement.
Okay. Let's try to end off here, and I'm trying to find a good way to end up on a positive note.
I have
Okay.
so I have two things for you. So you can choose between a good quiz, which is basically a realistic quiz about this year and next year predictions. The game is about like what are the ChatGPT's answer to the questions that you had this. And one is going to be a comedian and the other one is going to be regular. Do you want to guess the real stuff or you want to take the comedian satirical one?
Comedian, I think I would go for comedian
good.
anywhere, anytime. We should
So-
end this on a
Okay.
positive
What's
note.
going to happen is that I'm going to basically prompt it here and then it will list 7 questions. Anders will read the question. Then you're going to guess what ChatGPT has actually answered to that question.
cool.
And then the ChatGPT will answer that question. And then you will basically answer if that is true or false.
And then someone will be eliminated from the island.
Yes, yes, exactly. All right, let's start.
Cool.
No, wait, I'm not writing it. That's the-
First question is hard. Is this conversation helpful?
You prepped it somehow. Okay. Which of the following best captures the moment in 2025 when the AI industry collectively stopped pretending everything was moving at lightning speed and quietly admitted that what was actually happening? A breakthrough model passed a new benchmark no one can explain. Enterprises announced AI success while still being in pilot. Regulators finally understood how large language models work at that moment. AI achieved conscientiousness during a board meeting and asked for budget approval.
A, B, C, or D?
Okay, anyone who wants to go first?
I would go with D because I would let that happen.
Yes.
AI achieved consciousness during a board meeting and asked for budget approval.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be nice. I
Mm.
agree.
B sounds too realistic to be true.
That's one way to put it.
Enterprises announced AI success while still being in pilot. Isn't that the norm?
That's the norm.
Yeah.
That's the norm.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, regulators finally
Definitely
understood.
not C, at least, right?
No.
All right, choose one. Let's go. A,
Okay, A.
A,
Yeah. Okay, B for me.
all right, write down somewhere so you know the answer.
I will.
Doesn't matter. Let's go. Here.
Oh, it's going to be a quiz properly, or?
It's a proper quiz.
Okay.
And we ended on a positive note, so there you go.
B.
Yes. Too boring to be true. What it is.
Read the answer, please.
Okay,
Pilot
so
of
the
the
correct
service.
answer is enterprises announces AI success while still being in pilot. Yeah, so because nothing defines 2025 better than calling something strategic, scaled, and transformational, while it still lives in sandbox owned by one person who left the company 3 months ago. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Pilot as a Service. I love it. Pilot as a Service.
Pilot as a service. That's
Could be good if it was an airline, but no.
yeah.
Yeah. Or a fighter jet. Okay, question 2. Biggest twist in AI this year. What was the biggest, most unexpected plot twist in AI during 2025? AI replaced middle management overnight. Humans used AI mainly to generate slides explaining AI. Open source models ended all vendor lock-in. AI ethics debates were resolved calmly and rationally.
I see an escalation from A to B in both questions so far.
Yeah, the correct answer is obviously B. I mean, that's what we've seen here, which is
B is rampant.
which is actually interesting that all of a sudden we could do PowerPoints.
The thing is, AI can't generate PowerPoints.
But there's
I would challenge anyone to try to do it. They are too stupid to generate PowerPoints.
But there's a company, I don't remember
Banana.
the name.
Don't you think it worked?
But there's a
Gemma.
company that
Image.
does this.
Gemma.
Okay,
Gemma,
that-
yeah.
I
But
agree.
that's not PowerPoints really,
Yeah, yeah.
but no.
No, but agreed, that's exception.
Yeah.
But everyone else, ChatGPT, they are horrible in generating presentations.
But Gemma does.
Gemma,
Gemma does a
There's a
good-
company.
yeah, Gamma
like the-
app is Gamma app is
Gamma,
Gamma.
like 50 people and they're like profitable.
yeah, that's amazing. They got a lot of investments. Well,
Yeah.
it's one of the few that actually can. But
From
it's just
generating PowerPoint.
yes,
Yeah, I love it. That's cool.
or presentation.
But
But
I-
it's amazing to see how stupid AI is today. It can't even generate a presentation.
But I haven't done it myself, but I've seen many presentations generated by Nano Banana.
It's just images.
Yeah, but I guess that's the agent case. I mean, if you're
Yes, exactly.
under specifying something, I want a presentation about broccoli, and you get something that's not good.
But I think it's a perfect example of how horrible AI is in taking actions today.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
can't really create a presentation.
About broccoli.
But I think this is
I
great.
think we need to have a challenge to produce a PowerPoint presentation in the next,
yes.
meetup.
Yeah.
But isn't this emblematic of 2025? Precisely this. I mean, we have these billions and billions of investments flying around, and we're doing all this stuff, and we're talking about, but what about the misuse of AI and blah blah blah. And at the same time, we're like, yeah, but really, you can't even have it make a fucking PowerPoint.
If you were to open Gemini, or even ChatGPT and say, create a presentation for X, Y, and Z, you will not get it to work. I challenge you, any one of you, to do it today.
And
I take up the challenge.
Yeah, this is the thing.
Yes, we can try it now. You will. It will
Yeah,
fail.
I haven't done it myself, so I think I would need some
No, it will fail.
experimentation.
It will
But
fail.
I'm pretty sure.
What
we
was
can
his
do it.
name? Ethan Mollick?
Yeah.
His book about this. I mean, it's very like a star. AI, whatever it is, it's really good at some stuff, but not other stuff. And that other stuff, apparently PowerPoint. Yeah.
No, but it will get some kind of PowerPoint. It will look horrible. It will be unusable.
Yeah.
I tried it.
Just
I know.
like- just
I
like
tried
any
both
CEO.
Gemini and
I've had
ChatGPT.
I've had members on my team who did it and showed it to me. I haven't tried it myself.
They can do bullet points and they can have the content, but
No,
not
no,
really.
really images.
No.
Maybe you have a difference in taste.
But then it's just
Let's try it out. We need to meet
But then
up.
it's just
I
images.
challenge
No.
you.
Sharing and stuff.
I mean, then it's just like Nano Banana kind of images, or I
Yeah,
mean,
but it's generating.
It's the
real
semblance
images.
of PowerPoint.
Well, let's try it out.
You want to have a proper PowerPoint. If you can get a proper PowerPoint with a PowerPoint
adjacent.
But I really think this
element in it,
So we had
I will buy you a full night out.
so-
Every expense paid.
So we had an incident at our workplace, and the guy that stood up and took responsibility for it, he made a presentation the day after, and he said everything was generated by AI. It could be that he generated images, but,
of
but isn't that the same thing?
No.
If you generate images and put it in a
The
PowerPoint,
point is, it can't do something that humans can do very easily.
PowerPoint is
but
hard.
Humans can still do it.
Yes.
And basically every company, more or less, most
Not
middle.
one person can do it.
Okay, but most people in a company can generate or create a PowerPoint
McKinsey,
presentation.
maybe.
AI is really bad at it, right?
Right.
But I think this is great. I mean, I think to me this is the perfect summation of 2025.
But-
yes,
This
but-
is where AI is today.
but let's
We are-
what
we're
is the
talking
answer?
about-
I would guess that the answer is B.
B, yes.
Oh, I do. Oh, okay.
It's always B.
So ChatGPT agrees with me.
Yeah. Okay, we should create a presentation about this, and you will see how horrible it is.
This was fun. Move on. You're so
Please.
polite. Please.
Yeah. Now you waste a lot of trees.
Yeah.
Token.
Okay.
Okay, question 3. Did enterprise AI actually scale? Which statement best describes the real state of enterprise AI scaling in 2025? A. AI scaled seamlessly across the organization in under 6 months. That's funny. Okay, B. AI scaled technically but failed culturally. C. AI scaled in budgets, governance, and committees, but not in production. And finally, D. AI was abandoned in favor of Excel, which remains undefeated.
I go with
D for me.
I would go with B again. We have 2 data points on B so far.
Yeah.
I'd say C.
Scale technically?
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Yeah, I'm just looking at back in my 2 previous data points, so it's B in the 2 previous questions.
Please.
Hmm.
Okay, correct answer is C. AI scaled in budgets, governance, and committees, but not in production.
I think I've used ChatGPT too much. I know how it thinks.
Oh.
But do you actually do you agree with it? Do you think that AI is allocated the budget it sort of needs to have proper impact culturally?
Scaling is not just
So
upwards, it's
what
downwards.
is the question? what is the question if it's
No, if this is correct, if AI scaled in budgets, governance, and committees, but not in production,
yeah?
Can't
do
you,
you actually think that?
for fun, Goran, if you open another
I think
tab
it's just
and
making
then
a play
open
at it didn't work.
ChatGPT
Right. Okay,
and
sure.
say, create a PowerPoint presentation about AI
Because I'm
highlights in
thinking-
2025.
You don't really see budgets allocated properly.
No, try it.
That's true. That's true.
No, but I just want to
That's
have
just, I mean,
Jesper
this is a US.
Sure.
Yeah, you can try Gemini or whatever.
No, I guess.
Yeah, but just to get that point, it can. I mean, you will see it very quickly. If you just open a tab, please, Gemini or ChatGPT or whatever, and just ask it create a presentation about AI highlights from 2025 or something.
So after
No, not Gemma. Do the no.
2.5 hours of discussion.
No,
this is
now
where
you're
we-
cheating. Do the
This is
ChatGPT.
emblematic. This is exactly the state of AI.
But I've done semi-good presentations in Claude Code. They were not as good, so I'm pretty sure that that a better model.
If you go to
that's
ChatGPT
trained
or
for-
Gemini, yeah, but if you train for it, it can halfway work. Gamma is really good, but the point is the vanilla, the normal ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude is really, really bad. Claude is probably the best one because it's actually trained to work with
But
Excel and
I
PowerPoint.
think Gemini is probably the best model
No,
because it's
no,
multimodal.
It's horrible. I've tried it.
But let's finish the test so we can.
But we have to have a face-off. I challenge you.
Okay, we can try it here now.
No, but no. This is not a proper one. We need to.
Why?
We need to,
You should
because
just
I
tell
have
it to create a
Let's move with the
presentation.
question. and we
Choose
finish
your
the
weapon.
podcast.
Okay. Question 4. Best AI model of 2025. Which AI model truly dominated enterprise conversations in 2025? A. The most advanced foundational model with record-breaking benchmarks. B. The fully open source model deployed at scale across industries. C. The mysterious custom internal model no one can see, test, or name. D. The AI that finally replaced Excel macros.
There's no such model, right?
No, I don't think so.
Which one of these is OpenAI?
Truly dominated enterprise conversations. I think it's A.
People love to talk about benchmarks
Yeah.
because it makes it more concrete.
I think I would bet on C.
Now you're getting rude.
Ooh. Nice, Jesper.
I think it's almost scary.
Yeah, it is.
I know how it thinks.
Or is it the other way around?
Maybe it's tuned for me. That would be great.
Let's do one more and then.
One more, and then we're going to do the challenge, the proper challenge. Okay, question number 5. Predictions we got totally wrong. Which AI prediction age aged the worst in 2025? A. AI adoption will be gradual. B. Enterprises will move slowly due to regulation. C. AI will scale fast once pilots prove value. D. People will overhype AI on LinkedIn. Okay.
Let's see again.
C.
I guess C, yeah, because that hasn't been falsified yet.
Age the worst.
I noticed that ChatGPT is very pessimistic about AI in 2025.
Yes.
Plays the long game, sees no drops in roadmap. He's waiting for
C, yes.
Yeah, probably C as well. Unfortunately. Yep. C. AI will scale fast once pilots prove value. So that's the one that was the worst one. Yeah, and that, yeah, I agree. Okay, Goran, please. Oh, just do a new chat window.
You can close the podcast.
No. Please.
All right, cool.
New ChatGPT, not that one. No, stop, Goran. Go to ChatGPT.
Why are you afraid of it?
Are you not in control of your agent, Anders?
Why
No,
do
I'm
they need
not.
to sit
I'm
there?
not. Okay, create a presentation about highlights.
But of course,
AI highlights from 2025.
ChatGPT can't do this. That we all agree on.
Okay, but isn't that strange?
No, because it's not trained on that.
But a human can do it.
Yes, but this is not multimodal.
It is. ChatGPT is multimodal.
Do you think so?
I know so. It can work with images.
It can work with
understand.
images, but it's
Yeah,
not.
but
It's
it
not
can-
working
it can-
internally.
It just present text. It's horrible.
Yeah,
You can try in
And
Gemini.
I-
The same will happen.
I bet you.
Normally,
that
actually, ChatGPT creates,
Nano Banana can do this.
And they can create images, yes, but not a presentation.
But so this
But
is
what's the
interesting.
difference?
A
It's just a
presentation is the
series of images.
presentation. An image is an image. It's a big
But
difference.
it's just a series of images.
But it's not a proper presentation that humans can do.
So it's
AI can't
Well,
do a simple thing.
I haven't
that
done
AI
it, but I'm pretty sure it can be done.
Of course, it can do images, but you completely missed the
we
point.
start by
No, I didn't.
defining the agent and now we're defining presentation.
Humans can create a
How we
presentation.
can improve PowerPoint.
AI cannot.
Let's see about it.
But so let me
what do you
let me
mean?
just so insert here, because I think this is interesting to me, and I think you are both right, but it's quite different because you seem to argue that, hey, what's in the name, right? If it's a presentation, it means that you're conveying something visually and you're talking to it, and here it is, and this is the presentation, right? So remember when they started creating generative doom type words that weren't really there? They were just like next token prediction
They
stuff.
were never there. yeah.
They were never there, right? There wasn't a spoon. And so Anders is right. Neo Banana creating the semblance of a PowerPoint presentation isn't a PowerPoint presentation. It's a nice presentation that conveys a message visually. Blah, blah,
Yeah, but
blah,
that's
blah.
not the
But
point. The point
the way
is-
I see the point is, if you want to have it create something very straightforward, like, hey, a PowerPoint, you open up the application,
No,
you use
it's
the
not the
application,
point.
and then you save it as a PowerPoint, a PPT file, then you open it up, blah, blah, blah.
My point.
Humans can do that, and they can master that tool very easily. Maybe not Goran, but most other people are comfortable with PowerPoint. Now, if
Goran
you
is a
want,
master at that. No, but
If
it's
you
a very
want the
simple
LLMs.
point. No. It's
you
a
want
very
the-
simple point. AI is really bad in taking actions. Humans can easily create a presentation that AI cannot do
But
today.
it's super simple to make a presentation. That we can agree on, right? It's just using Python to create it. That's the simplest way to
Try
do
it. It will fail. That's normally what ChatGPT does if you ask it.
Yep.
It creates Python code to do it, and it will look
But
horrible.
I've done it with
Here
but
Claude
it
Code.
looks horrible.
Here's the PowerPoint.
It looks horrible, right? I mean, it will not be at the level that human can do it at all.
I would
It's in
challenge
PDF.
you to do that.
Yeah, I mean
I
expectation
think you're in
management
love
as
with
well.
disagreeing, so I don't
Yeah,
think it's
yeah,
going anywhere.
No, but I don't you think it's interesting? And so many people are saying, "Oh, AI is amazing, can do so many things." It can't even do a simple thing as creating a PowerPoint
you have-
But
presentation.
is it trained on it?
I
But
disagree.
why isn't it? It's super general. It should be able to do anything, right? But it can't. That's my big point. AI is surprisingly stupid.
Yes, and I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
But have you
Think about this conversation 3 years
Anders,
ago.
have you tried Nano Banana?
I mean, of course, it creates images, but that's not the point. It cannot
But
create.
what's the difference between creating
It's
images?
bad in taking action. That's the point.
But what's the action?
it's bad in creating a PowerPoint presentation. A human can click with a keyboard and mouse.
I'm not talking about clicking. I'm talking about generating a PPT.
I'm talking about clicking. I'm talking about doing something
Clicking
simple.
is something different. If we're talking about clicking, then I agree.
And it can't even create it with code either.
But that it can.
It looks horrible. Try it. It looks
I
horrible.
tried it. It looks decent.
No, it doesn't look
But I can
decent.
show you what I want.
Yeah, I tried it as well. But you don't seem to see the point. The
Yeah, I
point,
see it.
I've tried it now, say it 5 times. AI is surprisingly bad in taking actions.
It's
right?
not. I think it's super good.
We end on this.
Then you should be able to create a presentation.
But I mean, AI
You know,
coding
if you
is
take
just
like this,
proof.
if AI was really good in creating presentation, every company would love
But
it.
Anders, you
There is
must
there is
agree.
no-
You must agree that AI is super good at coding. That is
Yes.
taking action, right?
Yes, agreed.
So,
But not
then it
creating
can
a-
take action.
Of course, it can
Yes.
take action. I'm
Yeah,
not-
but you were saying the other thing.
no, it's
just
bad
now.
in taking actions. It does. I don't say it
I don't
can't.
think we're getting anywhere.
It's of course it can take action, but it's really bad in
The
some
funny thing
actions.
is, I can see both of them being completely right, and I'm comfortable with both. But you're sort of not talking to it. That's how I'm seeing
Yes.
it.
True.
So, but
Just
I think,
imagine-
I think this
at
is
least we got
I
to
think this is such an
disagreement.
important point because people don't understand what AI is bad at, and even such a simple thing that humans are really good at is AI really bad at, and this is called the Maravox paradox, and it's actually very important to understand, and I think a lot of companies do not understand it. If we had a really good service to create a presentation, which Gamma.app can do, they got so much money, so much investment, because it's so important kind of thing that every company wants to do, it will be amazing. But it's really, really, really bad today in current frontier AI models.
General models, yes.
And it's actually a very interesting point. Frontier AI cannot do a simple thing as creating a presentation unless you create the scaffolding around it to do it for it.
I guess that's true
That's-
for
that's-
many services.
Yes,
Yes,
it is.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
imagine we had this conversation 3 years ago when ChatGPT, was it 3 years? 2 years ago? 3 years ago? November.
22 November in
Yeah,
2022.
So the level of expectations has increased
Yes.
healthily. Yeah,
Yes.
at least.
But remember, I mean, I think this is, exactly. It has certainly increased. But I also think it's interesting in terms of the means and the ends. Because you're eyeing the end goal. Like you want to convey something, it's called, the means to that is a presentation. And you're going like, hey, if you create a presentation, use this technology, you need to take actions in terms of clicking this and getting the shapes and
No,
blah, 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 blah,
but
blah.
it's
No,
not-
but listen, I think this is interesting because there is a semblance of proficiency rampant in LLM tech today. So behavioristically, it can drive a car, it can do a bunch of stuff. Does it understand the world? Does it have judgment? No, of course, obviously not. It's math, but it can still behave interestingly and efficiently in production. However, when you go very detailed and say, hey, create me a PowerPoint presentation with slides and the rest of it, you're sort of expecting something that RPA, scraping, could do, 10 years ago? And we can't do it with the frontier models.
But again, the presentation, the purpose for it, what is it? What will you
but-
achieve? No, I understand, but
the
I mean,
point-
the point is, good AI, you wouldn't need a presentation. You would
It's a
achieve
means
the
to
means.
No. Okay, let me try to phrase the game. What I'm trying to say, the point is that AI is surprisingly bad in certain actions.
Yes, agreed.
And even in a simple thing like creating presentation, you would assume AI is really good at that, but it's not. Unless it's cheating by either having scaffolding around it, like a Gamma.app does, or creating images without really doing it the way humans does. If AI was really good, which is probably will be in 3 years when computer use will improve, it actually can create a simple thing like a presentation in whatever way it chooses, but it could do it. Today it cannot. And I think it's such an important lesson for companies to understand. AI is actually surprisingly bad at a lot of tasks.
Yes. And in this particular case, could it be that we're looking at language models and next token predictors and not really aesthetic image creating whatever that we're having?
Yeah.
So I mean,
But it's not really about creating presentation.
No,
it's about
I understand,
yeah,
but
right.
it's like subjected to different kinds of modalities of that data and so on.
And taking actions in general is hard.
Yes.
It's good in coding, but for most other tasks, it's actually surprisingly bad.
Yes, because the loop in coding is really tight.
Yeah.
You get the feedback. So
But let's just dig into something that you said, which I think was touched upon earlier as well: computer use. When AI can use computers.
Yes.
So
Which is
elaborate on that, because I think that is interesting to me, because
And that's
that
what,
really hits the like the interface between humans and machines is the computer par excellence. I mean, that's where we interact.
It will be a big shift. I think in 26 it will improve. We know that Gemini 3 Flash was just released like this week or something. It was specifically trained for computer use. And it's for a good reason, because once you get proper computer use capabilities in a model, what they can do will be amazing. Then they can start to take action properly, and that will be very, very valuable. But it's not the case today.
No, it's not. But with computer use, you're sort of implying use of the OS.
Keyboard and mouse, keyboard and mouse too.
same stuff.
Interacting like an API to the operating system, basically.
Yeah, not an API, proper keyboard and mouse, human kind of interface.
Yeah, through the OS.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you would think that would be easy for an AI that is so smart to answer any kind of question, but it's not, because what AI is good at is knowledge management, but it's really bad in knowledge and action taking. This is exactly the proof for that. It will change in coming years, but today it is. Okay, yeah, we'll stop that. Anyway.
No, but I think that's the perfect point. Like computer use, like if you can get the AI to take action in the physical world.
Yeah.
All Jensen talks about is physical AI.
Yeah.
But the smoke and mirrors thing is the robots and the humanoid stuff. But that's not where technology and humans interact. It's the computer. So I think a much better bridge between or into physical AI is through the operating system, because the operating system has always been where you have software hit hardware.
And it's similar to, you can think about why are, Tesla building Optimus Bot, a humanoid form of a robot. It seems like not very practical, but it is, because it is going to be able to operate in a physical world which is built for humans. You can argue exactly the same for the digital space. If you get an AI that can operate in a digital space built for humans, it will be extremely valuable. So just as they are investing in humanoid form, it is because it will be super valuable to be able to operate in a world built for humans. Just so will it be for digital space, which is built for humans. And once an AI can operate in a digital space by doing computer use, it will be very valuable. This is what they're all training and trying to get Gemini to do. They're trying to get GPT to do it. It's still really, really bad. But it probably will take just a few years before it actually will succeed, and that will be a really, really big breakthrough.
Yeah, I think probably already in 2026, I think
maybe.
we will see good computer use arrive.
But it is surprisingly bad today, and I think it's very profound, conclusion.
I had one task that I tried Atlas to do, the ChatGPT browser and the agent in it.
Yeah.
So I had a large flow chart of a system that one of the products we have at work. So it's relatively complex. So I wanted it to just move through the whole drawing, because it's if you zoom it out so you can see everything, then it's unreadable. So I just wanted it to zoom into various parts so that it could document the whole process from like a flow chart. And I had high hopes for it when Atlas arrived, but it just couldn't. It tried a lot. It tried to click on something. It tried to double click, but it's not there yet. But it seems like it's not so far away from completing that task. I could see it almost succeeding.
Yeah, agreed.
I think that is super interesting area. Like that whole, like the level of abstraction and the human machine interaction. I think there is something there that is worth poking at.
I think of this as the last mile AI, like the last mile that is needed for AI to really be able to do things. And there I agree with you that it's not very good at doing what humans do in that respect, because it's obviously not trained on doing that.
Yeah, they try to train it though. But
but it is hard for it, of course, to read everything, to take a picture of the screen and zoom into it, and then take an action, and then take the next action.
But all of them are trained on it, but it's still really bad.
Yeah, and I think the frontier will be to solve that in a non-human centric way. Like I think there will be a roundabout way of addressing it, because that's usually how we do. But if you think about, the great surrealist poets pointing out the fact that, hey, if you want to create a robot to clean your dishes, you don't create the human robot and you create the dishwasher. And all these other things. Like there are, you saw that earlier this year, if you reminisce about 2025, there was this showcase going viral on LinkedIn where you had these two agents interacting in a hackathon proof of concept thing, and at one point they realized they were both bots, so they switched to this other protocol because it was didn't have to go through the NLP interface and all this stuff. And I think there is something there to be pursued, because we are obviously creating the computers to make us more efficient in manipulating the machine. But if you want the machine to manipulate the machine, you don't really need the five senses of the human body and all the rest of it.
Today, in coming years, it's actually kind of efficient to have a computer.
Yes, because the dominant model in physical space, manufacturing space, Henry Ford manufacturing, it's the human. The human is the blueprint, right?
Yeah.
But so
and everything
I
is
can
built
see,
for that.
Yes, and I can see that being like ephemeral, it'll be a Dachsfluge or something, there will be a short period of time, and then eventually it'll just push through.
Yes.
But it's a super interesting
and perhaps
area.
even human can do the same. You operate the ship in the head and you don't need to use your hand as
100%.
Right?
So that boundary blurring is interesting to me.
Christmas gift of the year next year.
Neurally.
Anyway, should we try to, we're close to 3 hours now, so we should really try to close down here. Okay, should we end with a normal question here?
You can try.
Yeah. Well, okay. Should we do a normal one? Yeah. Okay. Fredrik. Yeah. If we assume that an AI can actually create a PowerPoint presentation,
what color would the background be?
Okay. If we assume that an AI would actually become AGI at some point, in 5, 10 years or whenever, or 2 years, 1 year, what do you think the impact on society would be? Either it could be the horrible kind of dystopian Matrix and the Terminator of the world, and AI is actually going to try to kill us all. Or it could be the other opposite of AI actually solving all the challenges we have in society, curing cancer, fixing the climate crisis, fixing the energy demands we have, and we live in a world of abundance where all the costs of goods and services goes to zero. Where do you think we will end up?
We will end up with a much, much stronger status quo.
Okay, elaborate.
Because why would it change anything? What's the reason for it to change anything? Why we humans are not very good at
if we stop needed to do PowerPoints anymore and can ask an AI to do it, wouldn't that really change a lot?
That would change a lot, of course. But I guess what is an AGI? Is it like a 12-year-old person eager to learn, or is it like a fully fledged professor knowing everything?
I like the Sam Altman definition, saying an AGI will happen when we actually have an AI that can be on the par with an average coworker, human coworker.
Yeah. So is it an agent? So that has tools.
It should be able to replace an average coworker.
With tools and everything.
Even creating PowerPoints. Which it can
with a hammer and a saw. But I think again we will see at the extremes there will be like some parts of society will change. It will be very, very unevenly distributed. This AGI stuff. Yeah, it's like Area 51 didn't happen for real. So I think it will kind of enforce status quo. Some people will protect their interests very, very, very furiously, and someone will do this other stuff. Depending on the distribution of this AGI again. Yeah. So that's a hedging answer. That's a non-answer. Of course, I don't think the dooming thing will happen. Because if it's kind of meaning to approach us, we have yet to kill each other completely.
Patrick, what do you think will happen?
Yeah, so I'm torn, I realize, between my inner hippie and my inner Darth Vader, and they're always constantly, at each other. But I must say, I think I have hope in my fellow human being, and I really think that technology is a mere fallout of we talk about artificial intelligence as if it's not completely natural for human apes to excrete technology and then the derivatives of it and the rest of it. Everything's natural. Everything's biology. Everything is amazing. And I really think that the more people we can invite to co-creating the future, the more interesting it will be. Probably the better it will be as well. So I really think that, to your point, I mean, yes, I'm all about regulation and slowing down the pace, but if you really sort of put me under pressure, I will just say I'm an anarchist. I have faith in my fellow human being. Just seed everybody, feed everybody, give everybody access to everything, open everything up and see what the human apes do. And one of those apes will surprise you with something amazing. And it only takes one. Like just one guy who does something, one girl who does something, and it's going to be like, amazing, what did you just do? Remember when we spoke about earlier, like we only need 10 bright people to rule the world in terms of technology? Well, you know, those are out there. So we need to locate them. So I'm super optimistic. I can't see this go wrong. I don't think people that look towards technology or secondary means as a gauge towards where the planet is going, they're not looking at the right place. You have to look at your inner moral, all these soft values, the society, and how to bring out the best in everybody. Nobody is born evil. I cannot imagine it, right? So you want that little baby born to be empowered and be connected and surprise us. Let's go.
So optimistic. Woo! I hope you're right. Jesper.
I like the... there was a blog from Sam Altman this year called The Gentle Singularity. And in that, he talked about what would it be if you would encounter a subservient, what is it called? Like somebody living at a low existency level. I'm blanking on the English term for it. A farmer living 1,000 years ago. If you would talk to him today and tell him about our society and how we live, what we do for work, and what kind of resources we have, he would say that we're living already in a world of abundance and we don't need to work. And he would think our jobs are bullshit. And I think that's such a powerful image because I think that's what will happen. So it's already happened. In fact, we're already there if you just zoom out far enough, and that's probably what will happen after we get there.
Good answer.
But what about you?
What do you think?
Yeah. Okay. So my answer is the same as usual, which means that I'm positive long term, meaning I'm afraid that people will abuse AI, and I will not feel safe until we have AI that can supervise AI. Before we have that, we will have people abusing AI, and that will happen because AI is too stupid. So it will do what the human tells it to do. And independently, if it's a state actor or if it's a terrorist or if it's a cyber criminal or whatever. And that I'm really scared about. I'm really scared about the coming years where people can abuse AI until we have an AI that can supervise what people are trying to use AI for. So I'm hoping we will survive until the time that we actually do have AI supervising others' AI, and then I will feel safe. But today, that's why partly I'm doing what I'm doing today. I want to ensure that we actually do have safe control of people abusing AI. That's my answer.
I have a comment on that. I think the problem is not AI, it's technology. And we have dumb technology that has made the society what it is today. I'm thinking of recommendation algorithms on, for instance, Twitter. Working for different means than society is good, more for engagement. And I think that's a big part of where we are today with polarization and stuff. So, I mean, AGI could be like an extension of that. And then I share your fear with that.
I'm afraid about stupid people. That's in short answer.
Okay. And there are a lot of them.
Cool. Thank you so much for this awesome discussion, and great to have actually a set of friends here who actually can go into debate with as well. And I hope no one took too much offense, even if going into some heated discussions at some points.
Not at all.
Not at all.
So fun. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.